Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon, and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon, so a massive shout out of thanks and appreciation to Christoph Fournier, John Travolta, JMails24, Unamento, M, Iron26, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKinnon, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fibre Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Gilded and G+, so you can enjoy their conversation while I set up for today's live show.
You've moved a bit, no?
No. From in California is where when I came from Iran, we lived in California. And then at 18 and a half, 19, something like that, I went on a missions trip to New York and actually Massachusetts, but I stayed in Jersey for a while and visited New York for.
I got you.
So those are my home base has always been California.
Sorry about that.
It would be like me saying, I've lived all over the country, and I have, but Tennessee's always been my home.
Yeah, I'm not sorry to live in California.
Sorry to
California
interrupt.
is a beautiful state.
Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah,
One
but
second.
just the politics.
My bad. Sorry to interrupt. Righteous, you there?
Yeah.
Okay, so the link, the join the Science versus Pseudoscience Discord server, that's the link that needs to be below the video also?
Yeah. Let me. I'm pretty sure I created one that doesn't expire. Let me just double check one, and give you make sure the link is right. Right.
Okay.
Well, Betty got her server back. I missed this.
He made a new Discord server. Well, Righteous made a new Discord server almost immediately, or prior to the last one being taken down. So I think it was already.
Come on, John, keep up.
Well, if I've put it in anyway, if he tells me it's different, I can just change it. But as far as I'm concerned, we're done. That's it. I've done. I'm finished. We're up and running now. We're working.
All right. Now it's just a matter of getting the rest of the Gilded guys to switch over, and if they have any issues, I might just put them on the panel, like George.
I don't even think you need to worry about it, Righteous.
Okay.
Righteous is Sin Cleanser banned.
Oh God.
He made it in, but he's not gonna get mod. Among other people are not gonna get mod again.
Good move. Good move.
Yeah, so this time I'm gonna be way more careful of who I pick as mods. I already have. I want AI Overlord to be mod, because he's like
That's a
very
good
professional.
choice.
And he's military trained too, and he basically knows how to operate within a position of authority, right? And he's a Christian too,
Absolutely.
and I like that. Yeah. So
A lot of
and he has
information
experience
coming out of him,
moderating
too.
247. Go
The
on.
best mods don't want to be mods. That's the problem.
Okay.
Did you talk to him about it? Is he keen?
I seen him. I voice verified him. I talked to him briefly, but I said I was gonna be handing out mods today. The only one I have as mod now is Divergent Droid.
I think you're done. That's basically all you need.
That's so true. That guy's on it, boys.
If there was ever this is what you should do and be and act if you are a moderator. Divergent Droid is the quintessential textbook example of the perfect YouTube moderator.
Right.
You ain't
Yeah, I
kidding.
thought he was a
Yesterday in
robot.
chat, hold on. Yesterday in chat, I was trying to tell people you can't wait for you to hear today's Uncut and After show. And as I was doing it, bam, DD put it up. What it
Yeah,
was
I
going
think
to be, the show, the Uncut and After show, the name, unbelievable.
I thought he was AI there for a while, like a bot that was designed to, you know, like
No,
look at the language.
he's
And
come on here.
well, yeah, but before that, I just thought it was like a AI that was picking out language and
I
you
think
know.
he does that. That's like I think that's intentional. I've never asked him, but I assume that that's entirely intentional on account of the fact that he comes across his logo's the Google Android, right? The little green Android robot. Well, it creates a subliminal impression that he's AI, doesn't it? Therefore, he's a little bit of a surprise when he can actually respond to you, and you've kind of assumed that he's like Nightbot. That's how I picture it. You know, Nightbot is like an automated. You ask it to respond to certain questions. If you see this particular word being mentioned, it will give an automated response. Things like that. That's what he comes across as, like an alternative to Nightbot in the YouTube chat. Until he rips
That's
you
what
a
I
new
thought
one.
it was.
Yeah,
Hence the
exactly.
name Divergent Droids.
Right. But then he'll rip
Nathan,
you a
you
new one
remember-
because he knows all the arguments as well. It's not like we're just praising him. Yes, he does put links in, and obviously that's fantastic. And he'll promote whatever's being talked about, which is great because that's, you know, stuff that you can't do while you're running the live show. And if someone else is doing it for you without you even asking, it's like, wow. But he knows all the arguments, so he can hold his own, you know, when it comes to actually pummeling somebody who makes a stupid assertion. And because he knows the arguments, it means he's a good moderator because he knows when he shouldn't be timing people out.
Yeah, double down is good.
I think that was a shot at me.
What?
Yeah. What was?
Nathan said he knows when he shouldn't be timing people out. I didn't
Nathan.
know. When I first became a mod, by accident, I was testing things, and I timed somebody out, and it was the person that Nathan had a whole dialogue with. Boy, I got yelled at for that.
Nathan, you remember?
I watch all of that. I watch what the moderators do. I might not be in the chat watching, like talking. Sorry, but it doesn't mean I'm not watching the show as the chat goes by. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not glued to it, but I am. You know, I'll periodically do whatever I'm doing. I'll scroll back down just to have a cursory glance. You know, and if there's no moderator in there, obviously there's going to be a point where I have to step in. You know, but generally my presence isn't made known to the people that are moderating, including you, Neil. I've got no issue. I trust you to moderate. I'd have said something. No, you say, oh, what? When you first became a moderator, you immediately abused the privilege? Yeah, that's what everyone does.
No, I did it by accident. I didn't know anything worked. So I said, let me try timing somebody out.
Did I say it was
Boy,
on
did
purpose?
I find out fast.
Anyway.
I don't know how. Here's Neil. I don't know how execution works. Let me execute somebody. See how it looks.
That's exactly what happened.
Nathan, you remember one that came with that story, and then we went through it and critiqued it. Well, I posted one for you last week, and we were supposed to do it Monday, but now it's Wednesday, and it is very good, but it's very long. If you want, we could start in the pre-show and then continue in the actual show.
Where did you post it?
I posted. It's a Master D. I just reposted it. It is so.
Okay.
I mean, you're going to love the beginning.
So this is an article as opposed to a video, right?
It's an actual transcript of a podcast from Scientific American. So it's on the website, and we're going to be able to go through each of the words. You can play it too, but you don't need to because they got it all typed out.
Hold on, that's Righteous joining in G+. That's not normally a good sign. What's up?
Yeah,
Everything okay?
I want to be in the voice verify section to verify new people coming in.
I need to be in.
No, you stay here, but this way I can listen. No, you're in the wrong room.
I'm just messing with you.
You're a terror, man.
I'm familiar with Discord though, aren't I? So I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that.
All right, so you see it says flat earthers, what they believe and why.
Oh yeah, sorry. I got completely distracted for a second. Yes, indeed. Now I've got another problem. The Discord I've just set up, I can't get. Ugh.
Take your time. Do what you got to do.
Okay, I've done it.
Oh, are we going to talk about what we believe?
Well, this is someone talking about what we believe.
Still doesn't fit on the
What
page.
do we
honestly.
believe? I
Well,
don't even know what I believe.
No, we're gonna get into it. It's good. It's really good. You ready?
No, I'm not. It looks
Right,
awful.
this-
Oh, just ignore this. You're watching this on screen, right? This isn't happening. It looks beautiful. Hold on a second.
Just give-
I'm really sorry, audience members. We've just changed server and it's caused me to have a few visual aspect issues that I'll solve in but a moment.
In but a moment.
The top of it? I think we do.
Yeah, while you're doing that, yeah, John, it's I just love it when people say, yeah, flat earther, this is what you believe, or this is what you stand for, or this is your position. So we're gonna find out how this guy sees us.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what they in that interview that Nathan did with Vice. That's all they had to keep everything in. What do you believe? What do you believe? Believe. What do you agree with? You know, like it's wrong subject matter, bro.
Yeah. So just from the start, you're gonna love it. I mean, it's like,
We're ready. I'm ready. I've got it looking okay.
okay, so this is a series of articles that we're going to be posting. One Deck did one, and we went through it. 7. What was that? 7 reasons why the Earth is not a globe or something. I can't remember what the title was. But then I said, you know, it's a good idea that he did that. Let me go find one. So I found this one, and it's from Scientific American. It's called Flat Earthers: What They Believe and Why. So we're going to go through the transcript. And it says Michael Marshall, project director of the Good Thinking Society in the UK, talks about flat Earth belief and its relationship to conspiracy theories and other anti-science activities. Right from the get-go, we're anti-science according to them. We're conspiracy according to them. And it's coming from the Good Thinking Society. Interesting. Full transcript. This is Scientific American Science Talk, posted March 27, 2020. I'm Steve Mirsky. I'm going to let my guest introduce himself in a moment because he does a better job than I could. So I'm Michael Marshall, and I'm project director of the Good Thinking Society, which is a charity based in the UK. Oh, the whole purpose of our charity is to promote science. So get that. So the whole purpose is to promote science, to challenge pseudoscience. Now, this is right up our alley. So we'll do work to forward science education. And then another part of the work that we do, which is the bulk of my work, is to find ideas that aren't backed by evidence and find people who are promoting those ideas. I got to pause here. I got to pause here.
I want you to. I need to talk to Anthony about that. But if they have a charitable-based organization getting tax exemption from the government, and that is their stated goal, then they have to do that. So there may be a way to force them into fighting heliocentrism.
I'm looking at this thing as I'm reading. I'm saying, okay, so you're a charity, and you're about good thinking, and you're going to challenge science versus pseudoscience. And then another part of the work is the bulk, not the low part, the bulk of my work is to find ideas that aren't backed by evidence, like heliocentrism. It's so funny, the projection here. It's like crazy.
Wow.
Backed by evidence, find people promoting those ideas. And then it says, find people who are buying into those ideas and to explore them and figure out if anything can be done to prevent people from being confused by them, harmed by them, misled by them, in those kinds of things. So I spend a lot of time looking at things like alternative cancer kills and people who promote those in alternative medicine. I spend a lot of time going to see people who say they can talk to the dead, who say they can do faith healing. And then another part of my time is spent talking to people who believe in unusual ideas, who are kind of proponents of them. And that's how I came across Flat Earth world. Oh, it's through my slightly odd hobby at the time before I was working full time as a skeptic. So his job is to be a full-time skeptic. It was a hobby of mine to be in rooms filled with people who disagree with me. This I had to pause. So he's a full-time skeptic, and he's in rooms with people who disagree with him, rather than people arguing with each other, and he's a skeptic studying both sides, if you follow what I'm saying. To just understand what brings people to ideas that I would look at and say, well, this can't be true. These kinds of fringe and extreme and unusual beliefs. What brings people to believe them, and what kind of paths lead people there? What evidence supports their position in their minds, and how do they engage with the world, with that worldview, and try to have conversations? Last paragraph before we take a pause. I've got a podcast where I talk to people who have kind of fringe beliefs, and instead of having a conversation that a lot of people would have, if they are skeptic about something, they're talking to a believer, where you shout at them and tell them they're wrong, and point out all the evidence and tell them, and it gets into quite a volatile discussion. Sometimes instead of that, I try to have a civil and polite chat. I try to explore the gap between us. So I say, I don't believe in that idea of yours, but I really am interested to figure out why I don't believe it and why you do. So let's have a conversation. So I have these kinds of civil discussions, and that's the kind of how I came across I don't know, it's spelled wrong here, flat earth theory, and the idea that there are people walking around today who think the world is flat. I think I'm going to contact this guy and say, I love the way you want to have civil discussions. I'd like to invite you to Flat Earth Debate.
Hey, 10th man, real quick. That's how that debate ended with David Weiss, Jaron, Whitsitt, and the other fella. That's exactly what they said.
Okay, well, this is interesting how the very thing he says odd, and the very thing he says fringe, and the very thing he says is pseudoscience, is exactly what we say about heliocentrism with our housekeeping questions, where they have, as Nathan puts it many times, the extraordinary claim that we're spinning when we have no proof of spinning, and all of the things about the model that we don't have any evidence for. So it's like a flip. They're really talking about their own position. What say you guys?
Bizarro world.
I think I want to talk to Anthony about them being a charitable organization that's combating pseudoscience and promoting true science.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's quite long. I don't think we can do the whole thing in one show. It would just be too much reading, but this is a good segment just to pause and talk about how he's setting the stage, how he's getting well, since it was a podcast, the listener in the position to put them in the context to which he's going to now position himself as science and flat earth as a pseudoscience. Now, what do we do on this show? We position science against pseudoscience, and then we look at the evidence, and he's talking about evidence. Well, okay, how come we're coming to a different conclusion than he is?
Yeah, because his science is pseudoscience.
Yeah, it's the flip. But again, why is it that we have a different conclusion and we have the same concept, science versus pseudoscience? So I would say we agree with him. Science versus pseudoscience is a good topic. But who's got the pseudoscience?
Well, yeah, he kind of laid it out when he said agree or disagree, or why I believe or don't believe. You know, if you're talking about testing a hypothesis through experimentation, it's not about believe or not believe.
Right.
Or agree and disagree.
We're not discussing favorite color, best type of motorcycle. Not discussing that. It's not an agree-disagree genre.
So that's a small taste of it. It goes for a while. It brings in Mark Sargent. It brings in some other things. But if you want, we could just do it for tomorrow's pre-show, the next part, and just do it in sections.
Yeah, I'm down with that. That was pretty easy going, wasn't it? Let's be honest. Compared to yesterday's show.
Yesterday's show was epic. Don't ever take away from yesterday's show. That was epic.
Well, that was the whole thing of Nathan fiddling with computers for all that time. He finally let it all out. And boy, was it a sight to hear and see.
When are you going to air it, Nathan? The full?
It comes out tomorrow.
Okay.
On the second channel.
Tomorrow. All right.
Members have got it now. There's been lots of comments and lots of views on it already.
Good. All right.
So,
I guess I'm not a member.
So remember to join the Nathan Oakley 1980 members or watch it on Nathan Oakley second channel on YouTube.
It's only a couple of days later, or if it's a weekend or close to a weekend, it's like 3 or 4 days later.
Don't worry, 10th. You'll get it 2 days later than these other people that aren't on the show every day.
Listen, 10th man, that was, if QE didn't come in and intervene and say,
yeah, I completely lost track of time. You actually are right in that regard, Neil. If Quantum Eraser hadn't come in and gone, I've got a show running soon, I wouldn't have realised what time it was and have just carried on indefinitely, plugging my way through what was a 3 hour, 4 hour show on their part. So it'd been 4 or 5 hours of reaction video had you not interrupted, because I completely lost track of time.
Did you start that at a random place? That video, you just kind of clicked on a random spot and hit play?
I don't know. I'll have to review the footage of yesterday's show. I can't remember. I think it popped up at a particular point, did it not? When I clicked on whatever link was sent to me, I think it came in at a particular point. Maybe I just clicked to a random part and started playing. I can't remember.
John, do you want to get this to Anthony, or you want me to forward it with your concerns?
Well, I'm going to talk to Anthony about it. But yeah, post it, because there's something about that where it's, they've filled out the information to get a tax exemption, right? So there's a legal obligation to fulfill their charter.
Okay, it's in Master D, the full website and transcript.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now we are joined by, get my lights to turn off. We are joined by 10th Man, Neil, Refracted Curvature, Righteous Force, and a whole bunch of people in Discord. So welcome one and all.
Hello, hello.
5 more hours. 5 more hours.
Hey, good morning.
Who comes to say hello and say 5 more hours. Who does that? Oh, Neil.
Nearly
Sorry.
C. Nearly C.
Alrighty then.
Destroy your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women.
Okay.
With the lamentations of the women.
Está por ahí. Ya, hay que ver dónde está el switch, porque eso tiene que tener un switch. ¿Puedo ver?
All right. This familiar sounds of someone off mute in Discord. Happy days. You're off
I
mute.
thought
Dig
that
Up
was some
76.
foreign legion. I thought that was some foreign legion.
Let's do a bit of housekeeping. See if I can retain control of the show within 5 minutes of going live. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge that's a horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
Well,
No.
no, but some people still think that Earth curve is the horizon.
Una pinza ahí.
And there's other people that don't point it out.
Una pincita, sí. Ya, está
That's
bien.
what I meant, Darwin.
Like yesterday. Like they never pointed out.
Yes.
Yeah, you should know. Like, hey, you could have said Black Swan like every few minutes in that entire thing, but they didn't. Because I guess they don't watch this show.
The question is why? Why not?
Because
Why
they
not?
don't like to have good arguments that they didn't make up themselves.
Talking about people who want to be the purveyor of the reasons, whys, and wherefores of claims made by globe believers. That's what's being discussed currently if you're not following along as an audience. So if you have a positive claim laid down, for instance, there's an Earth curve edge blocking the sun, rather than taking apart the positive claim that Earth curve blocks the sun, there's a tendency by some to favour punting their own belief about what causes that effect, in spite of the fact there's no positive claim being made or required to be made about the horizon, what it is, how it operates, how it functions in regards to the sun. None of those things are required. What is required is to take apart the claim that's being made and is believed by the Western world majority. That is to say that Earth curve blocks the sun. You need to take that apart. Now, Arwin and Neil are questioning, why wouldn't you just do that? If you're a flat earther, why don't you just debunk the Earth curve? We would do it by saying Black Swan. If the Earth's a sphere radius 3959, then every distance to horizon measurement can be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. We've got imagery that shows it's beyond the geometric limitations of that sphere radius 3959. It's called the Black Swan. Horizons that are Earth curve blocking things like the sun don't move beyond the things they block. We only have to show that it's not physically blocking something it should be in front of once. Hence the Karl Popper analogy. We only need one black swan to show that not all swans are white. Not all horizons are physically blocking things because they're geometric Earth curve edges. We've debunked it. 1st Jan 2020. Why wouldn't you use this argument? Rather than postulating what you think the horizon is or how you think the horizon behaves. You don't have a positive claim, flat earthers. Why are you talking about the horizon? Oh, because globers claim it's Earth curve. So just debunk it. It's not Earth curve. We do that here. We debunk Earth being a sphere by pointing out the Earth curve they claim proves it's a sphere when it blocks boats, buildings. Yeah, we debunk it. Black Swan.
Well, it is useful whenever your opponent needs you to make a claim so he can hold that claim up against his and false dichotomy. It's very useful if a flat earther makes a claim outside of what is necessary.
Correct. So what John's pointing out is that
So
often
the sun is not going behind the horizon then?
the horizon's not Earth curve. We've debunked it. It's not a physical geometric limitation to your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Because if it was, it would always be blocking whatever's behind it at the rate they claim it blocks it when they show you the Earth curve maths and say it's blocking something in the distance like the sun. If it's beyond the geometric limitations laid down in those maths, i.e. this is the geometry of where a hill gets in the way of the boat. Well, hills don't move behind the boat or behind the building, or in the case of the Black Swan imagery, behind the oil rigs. They're fixed into the ground, and if there's a fixed hill at a fixed height getting in the way, it will always get in the way. That's what they're claiming. You only have to show that it isn't in the way to prove it's not an Earth curve edge obstruction. So yeah, we debunked it, Arwin. But what John's saying is it's far more convenient for someone who is postulating that the horizon is Earth curve blocking boats and buildings to have you make a positive claim as a flat earther about what you say the horizon is. Because then he can just, or she can just attack your positive claim that you've got no requirement to make beyond what? Explaining how it isn't their claim? No, you just debunk their claim. The horizon is not Earth curve. We only have one horizon. And the horizon, marked on screen right now, with their example in Muppet Vision, is claimed to be a physical geometric limitation to this boat. Therefore, if it is, the blockage here will never be beyond the boat at that height, because it's a physical hill getting in the way according to the claim. So you've only got to show it beyond its limitations as a hill Earth curve once. Go on, Owen.
So Nathan, are you saying that making a statement like, no, you don't understand perspective, the sun is just going away and becoming smaller over the flat Earth because of perspective, are you saying that's not a good counter argument against the globe?
I'm saying that'll get you shouted at by me as a very well-established and capable debater of this subject. Because postulating what you think the bloody horizon is inconsequential, because we couldn't give a crap what you Muppet flat earthers think the horizon is. Oh, you think it's a diffraction limit. You think it's an ether band. You think it's... You are not the arbiter of the Western world view in regards to the horizon. It's claimed to be Earth curve. All you flat earthers out there listening need to do is debunk that, like we do. Not pretend to be some guru arbiter of what the world does. You don't need to do that. You just need to debunk the positive claim that the whole bloody world believes in. And that's that the horizon, marked with an X, labelled horizon on screen now, below surface level, that is not the horizon we see. Your horizon is not Earth curve, as depicted on screen. If it was, it would be at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. That's what this maths is. This is the maths to show you what will be hidden behind the hill that is claimed to be the horizon, marked with an X at the point that the hill gets in the way. No, we've shown it's beyond where the thing would be hidden. If this is the oil rig hidden by a hill, the hill's never going to be behind the oil rig. That's what the Black Swan shows. Therefore, it's not a hill. It's not Earth curve. We debunked it. Further to that, I'll hand over to John. We've got marked in their maths a necessity for a surface level parallel with eye level. Why would a flat marked as surface level be in this maths, John?
Well, that's how they derived Earth curve, was the differential between the two flat planes. The horizon is at surface level by definition. It's where the surface and the sky meet, so it has to be part of surface level.
Meanwhile, in this maths, we've got a horizon below surface level, calculated mathematically from the differential from eye level parallel with the surface level. We don't see below surface level, but mathematically you can talk about a horizon derived with a straight line. Hey, Rufy, you seen this straight line here? Is that a trick too? Yeah, anyway. A straight line to a hill getting in the way. We've debunked that 1st Jan 2020. So Arwin's asking, if that's the case and we can just debunk their positive claim that the horizon's Earth curve, is it a good idea to start suggesting how the horizon's formed with perspective effects? No, definitely not, Arwin. No need for you to postulate a positive claim. Fascinating stuff that we have walked along the path of. A journey of discovery for us, because we were vaguely interested in how the horizon works, given that there's a claim we've debunked from Earth as a sphere with a edge blocking boats. I mean, obviously now we know that's not the case. We wanted to investigate further. But should we be put on the spot and justify these potential claims we're not making? Definitely not. Oh, no, but that wasn't your question. Should I put it in rebuttal to somebody who's claiming that Earth curve edges get in the way of boats? And definitely not. Just debunk that claim, right. Arwin.
I thought so. Thank you for elaborating.
I would just like to say, welcome back, Nathan. Welcome back.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because there's claimed to be 2 reference frames by numpty flat earthers and by globers, do we experience two reference frames?
No, there'd be a Coriolis deflection, the one they claim exists, like they claim there's a geometric physical obstruction called the horizon below surface level. They also claim that we are turning beneath things as a non-inertial turning reference frame to cause the not actual deflections of things like footballs that will deflect into goals because Earth turns beneath them. I mean, obviously, if that was true, as Neil deGrasse Tyson states, with an example of a ball being deflected as a result of Earth's rotation, then Earth would be rotating under the blimp filming the game. And a different continent would come to the blimp as it just hovered there. And flights would have their flight times reduced massively as Earth turned beneath them like they're claimed to turn under the football. It doesn't, we're not experiencing Earth as a non-inertial turning reference frame. If we did, we'd see Coriolis like they claim we do, and we don't. There is no Coriolis deflection observed because we're turning beneath things. We're not turning beneath things. The ground isn't moving beneath things. Ever. The ground isn't moving. We'd notice.
But in that claim, not only do they need Earth to have a radius, but they need an inertial frame of reference outside of the non-inertial reference frame, which they claim now that Earth and atmosphere are moving in lockstep. What would that area where there is no air or atmosphere or gas, what would that area be called?
Outer space. If you're saying that they have a non-inertial reference frame turning with atmosphere, sphere-shaped air attached to said non-inertial turning reference frame, rotating with it, and beyond outer space, a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum, to look back on both Earth and atmosphere as a non-inertial turning reference frame. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, if that was the claim that anti-flat earthers made.
That
why would that be
anti-flat
wrong?
earthers make. Okay. Yes, that is a claim that anti-flat earthers make. Unfortunately, gas is unbonded. So while they might say Earth is a band around a presupposed spherical surface with a radial value undefined to give me this axial rotation and non-inertial turning reference frame with gases attached. Now, gases don't do that. Gases are unbonded, not only to the surface, but not even bonded to themselves. You know, I haven't got gas moving around in pairs or clumped together. If they did, they'd be defined as a different state. That's not what gas does.
Well, does gas fill space?
Yes.
And would you have an inertial frame of reference if gas filled space with the claim that they're making?
Gas does fill space, ergo the gas that's being described as a band around a non-inertial turning reference frame turning with it, ergo Earth and atmosphere, sphere-shaped air move as one, would mean that you would have to be in a second law of thermodynamics violation with the gas not filling the available volume that you're occupying to see them rotating together in violation of gas law, because gas is unbonded, doesn't bond to an Earth to turn with it. And you couldn't view it because you'd have to be in a violation of natural law, sky vacuum, watching gas not fill the space you're in. So none of this makes any sense. Further to that, the actual globe claim is that Earth is turning beneath the atmosphere and balls that are in it, for you to see the effects of Earth rotation beneath the ball that's not attached to Earth. It's called Coriolis. So while anti-flat earthers might describe this nonsensical scenario where you can go to a second law of thermodynamics violation sky vacuum to watch Earth as a non-inertial turning reference frame and atmosphere bonded to it turning with it also as the non-inertial turning reference frame, for you in the inertial reference frame of space that doesn't exist to see things not deflecting because they're moving with the atmosphere. That's in complete contradiction to Neil deGrasse Tyson's example with a football actually deflecting. That would be to say that you see it turning as you're moving underneath the ball to see that path. Yeah, well, that isn't happening either because it would shorten flight times. We'd
Makes
notice.
sense. Yeah, go on, Chocolate.
I was just gonna say that sounds like a nice okie doke. It's like why would the same people that believe that there is this apparent deviation literally take away the parameters that would create that deviation?
Because they don't believe it. That's why you're stuck here with us like Simon Dan in this pit. Because you don't believe it either, do you, Simon Dan? To the point where you'll tell me that the reference frames that are used by the globe Earth to claim we've got Earth and atmosphere turning separately to cause balls to deflect when they leave the ground, as Neil deGrasse Tyson examples, you'll tell me, bearing in mind that's a Neil deGrasse Tyson claim, not mine, that my reference frames, actually Neil deGrasse Tyson's, are ruined. Yeah, because they need to be here, separated from everybody else. because they're just as dangerous. Simon Dan telling the world that there's no reference frames, they're ruined, on Twitter, to me, that's dangerous. Also very stupid. I mean, Dan is stupid, but
while
yeah.
simultaneously providing you a video not showing deviation. Also.
Yes, showing no Coriolis effect, no drift, showing me how there's examples of things not drifting through goals because of Earth's rotation to prove that we're spinning, as Neil deGrasse Tyson gave as an example. No, Simon Dan shows me things not drifting and says, ha, reference frames ruined. What the globe ones that are used to claim we've got Coriolis effect we don't see. Yeah, you, like me, know we don't see it though, don't you, Dan? There's nothing drifting. So you better quickly show me things not drifting. Yeah, that doesn't prove we've got Coriolis effect though. That's what's claimed to happen. Dan's just stupid and didn't understand the claim of Coriolis effect when he showed me things not drifting to tell me that the reference frames used by the globe are ruined. Thick.
Or maybe it is they understand and they just have to try to, they have a little bit of an audience that they have to try to appease. So they just play the okie doke on. Tell us that, our reference frames are ruined. And then tell his audience that, yeah, of course we have Coriolis.
Well, Coriolis would be a deflection we observe. We don't. So there isn't.
You brought up gas in space and the availability within that. So since gas fills the available space and we have gas pressure here on Earth, what does that tell you about our space?
Second law of thermodynamics does not apply to the globe Earth. Thanks, Rumpus.
No, I'm searching for how gas pressure, because this segue to go to the next housekeeping question. So gas will fill any available space, and we have gas pressure. Do we not here on Earth?
Yes.
Yes.
So is our space enclosed like the walls of a container in order to give us gas pressure?
They must be.
Well, then there's space, outer space, which is a vacuum. All this gas would go out into that available space, but it's not. So there is a barrier giving us gas pressure. So if you can highlight space versus outer space, it's a space within a container where gas fills and gives us pressure, but not outer space where it would just fill that as well. But then you need a container for a vacuum, right?
Yes, you do.
So what's their claim again? Earth is a rotating ball with gas pressure and outer space vacuum right next to it with no barrier. How does that work? Sounds like pseudoscience.
A ball with water sticking to the outside of it and then air sticking to the outside of that. How's that for a fantasy story?
Listen, Neil deGrasse Tyson explains how a star is formed. You got gas in outer space. Come on.
Listen, they mock us as pseudoscience because they have hijacked science, and they're the ones with pseudoscience.
They totally are. Can we go back to the Earth rotation question for a second? We got a couple of chat games in Discord. Discord's back when you got some chat games.
Cool. Also, guys in G+, for some reason, even though I've subscribed to be a premium member of G+, and have whatever amount of time I'm supposed to need, it's saying that the call's going to end in 6 minutes. I've just gone and tried to resolve it, but it doesn't seem to want to, so for whatever reason. Oh, I know why. Oh, it's because I lost my credit card and changed the details. Oh, god damn. My payment for G+ has not gone through, and therefore this call will end in 6 minutes. 5 minutes. So, yeah, if you can you join Discord just for today until I resolve that payment issue, which I can't resolve on the fly?
How do you get on Discord? Where is it?
Where's what?
Discord, is it a new
yeah,
is
there's
it
a
the
link.
same pseudo sign?
Yeah, there's a link in Masturbators.
Okay.
Oh, did we retire Gilded?
No, not at all. Gilded's still very much in active service. It's just for the now we've transferred over to back over to Discord. So we're back on Discord now. until that scrap, and then we'll move back to Gilded. But Gilded was giving us too many technical issues as far as I was concerned. It was a hindrance, and the extra sound quality, now we're back on Discord, doesn't seem like it was as good as I maybe thought it was. Doesn't seem to be that much better. But anyway, yes, we are.
Well, I'm going to pray that God blesses your credit card, not damages it. How's that?
No, I just lost it and then cancelled it and then found it in my coat pocket about an hour after cancelling it.
I know, Nathan. I'm just saying in a polite way, you didn't need to blaspheme.
Yeah, I'll sort that out. I just don't know how to do it on the fly. I can't find how to get into the billing information page.
And-
It's like,
So,
And you guys got-
the show is up. So we're all going to go to Discord after this 5 minutes or 4 minutes just left.
yes, if you don't mind.
Right, and just say there's a voice verify, just hop in and say hello, and then I can just set you guys up to see the rest of the server.
Can you start doing that now, just so the conversation doesn't dry up as there's a transition period? And maybe Arwin, if you can do
Well,
that.
I got Neil in here. If Neil can say hello on the voice verify section. I mean,
Perfect.
I
Just
got
drop-
both lines open.
Oh, yeah, we are live, so if you can one at a time, just drop out of G Plus before it ends, and you're forced to all do it at once. Just that'd be great, because then we can keep the conversation going. Marvelous. Anyway, we'll carry on with housekeeping. We've done axial rotation. Any evidence, as John brought it up, of the R value? That's Earth radius.
Hiya, Nathan.
Hello. Sounding good, one deck. Sounding good.
Deck. How are you doing?
Very well. You sound clearer too. I'm very happy to hear your voice.
No, there's no evidence for the R value because if it changes with the weather,
Yeah,
how
just
can you have one in the
from
first
that
place?
gas pressure.
That was beautiful, man. That was beautiful. Thanks, Tenth. Go ahead, one deck.
I was just saying on the gas pressure.
You know, you're breaking up
Tenth brought
now.
up.
You were
I've been
good. Now you're
talking
breaking
to
up.
You were anti-flat earthers. Can you hear me all right?
Not really. For about 3 seconds we do, and then you go all distorted once you get into your actual point.
Right. No worries. I'll come back again.
Any evidence of the R value, though? I know Tenth was answering. Earth radius. Any evidence thereof? It's used to beg the question. It's used to beg the
Well,
question
the
of
Earth-
Oh, God.
If the Earth was a sphere with a radius of 59 miles, then every horizon distance measurement could be no more than 1.22 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. Simple. But is that the case, though?
So what I need you to do is my payment details have expired in G+. Can you see that it says this call will end in 2 minutes? It's because I cancelled the credit card, didn't I? So therefore it hasn't taken the next payment for G+. You got... Oh, I'm off. You guys talking about yourselves. I was just about to say you're listening to my conversation that I'm having with my wife, and I thought I was on mute. Sorry. You talking amongst yourselves. My bad.
Be evidence, surely.
Where is the evidence?
It's in my pocket.
It must have some evidence, surely.
Haven't
I
you
haven't
heard?
seen
The
any
evidence. The evidence is that you don't have evidence.
That checks out.
They teach it in schools. It must be correct.
Now, isn't that the thing, One Deck? They teach it in schools. And that was what made me turn, because I'm like, everything I learned in school, it's not scientifically validated? What the heck?
Surely they're not teaching lies to our children.
I assume that's where my G+ has ended. I might get it back in this live show. So for anyone watching live, this isn't normally this crap. Actually, it has been this crap over the last couple of months. So I don't know what I'm even lying for. But anyway. You can still...
That happened with my credit card, too. My credit card was compromised, and everything I had on auto pay, I got hammered with late charges.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's a good
lost
point.
I lost my wallet and cancelled my card.
Oh God,
I
what have I
ordered a
done?
new
What have I
card
done?
and I didn't
What have
have
I
a
done?
wallet, so
Let's get it back on track. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Negative. What is the sun, first of all? How can
I
we
don't know.
have distance to something we don't even know what it is?
I know there's plenty of people out there that want to be gurus of what the sun is and how it works and how it operates, though, isn't there?
Oh, yeah, we heard them all yesterday.
Is it a physical thing, the sun, you reckon?
Well, you could get a suntan from it.
Can you get a suntan from a rainbow?
No, I've never been multicolored tanned.
I don't think we can measure distances to rainbows.
Okay, right. With that, I've managed to get my wife roped into just resubscribing to G Plus Premium. So, guys in masturbators who've just gone to the effort of joining Discord. I mean, at least you join now. I mean, but we can actually go back into the link that I've just published in, what's it called? Masturbators.
Maybe I'll hang in Discord for the day.
You can do whatever you like. But anyway, the link's there if you want to join.
We can do Discord, we can do G+, we can do Gilded. We've got everything, man.
But what we can't do is get the distance to the sun, right, One Deck?
Just let me check the...
Well, it's changed throughout the set.
I just joined you in...
Perfect. That's it. We're good. We're good. Everything's okay. We're back on track. That was only about 3 or 4 minutes interruption because of me and my credit card.
Yeah,
we're on
that
distance.
interruption brought stories of canceled cards, which...
That's okay. These things happen. I like to be able to know in my own mind that I can resolve the problem while we're live. You know what I mean? Get back on track, and hopefully there's not that much interruption, which there hasn't been. It's been 2, 3, maybe 4 minutes now. But with distance to the sun, we've just going to draw a line under and ask a farcical question just to get everyone back in the mood. Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Is that a joke?
No, if you're gonna make up all the other stuff and can't prove it, you might as well make that one up because you can't prove that one either.
Yeah, that word in there, presupposed, is a big giveaway.
Chocolate, we have volcanoes and stuff. Where does the lava come from? Gotta come from the center of the earth.
It's not even claimed to come from the centre of Earth in their rhetoric. It's claimed to come from the ring of fire, which is tectonic activity, the rubbing together of plates. Well, you've got little pockets that get created through that friction, according to their rhetoric, and those pockets will make their way to the surface. But it's all based around tectonic claims, not centre of Earth. There's no magma coming from the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth pumped up to the surface. That's just nonsense. That's not even part of their rhetoric.
I was told that yesterday. What are you talking about? I was talking to somebody. He said, "You moron! There's got to be a molten iron core because we have lava, we have volcanoes. So maybe
they're just wrong. Well, they just don't understand their own rhetoric. Go on, whoever it was
Neil,
from Discord.
Yeah, it was me or Discord.
It's Neil. It's Neil in Discord.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, if they don't have R, then they don't have a globe Earth, then they can't have a molten iron core at the center of something that doesn't exist. So the R destroys it, the lack thereof.
Any evidence you can acquire an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
Well,
no, they don't even do it from a curved baseline.
Just automatically requires a horizontal baseline. It wouldn't exist without one.
Correct. As covered earlier with the begging the question, proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator depiction on screen. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
We're still waiting. Go on, John.
I was going to say this is definitely a tricky point for them because they want to make sea level curved but eye level straight. The anti-flat earthers, so they're in kind of a catch-22.
They haven't got either.
The problem is in the celestial navigation books. We'll come back to the last housekeeping question, but the eye level horizontal, which is fictitious, using a spirit bubble, they don't align that with sea level. They take that to the equatorial plane, which is another plane. So even in the way they do it, they're saying it's got to be flat. But in the pictures, they draw that dotted line saying surface.
Just do a quick plug because I'll forget to do it, and we're actually live when I've seen this plug come through from QE. So tomorrow, that's the 10th, at 6 p.m. US Central, that's 12 a.m. UK. There's going to be QE Live, The Treatment, Baltard's PhD, Rob Perks, and Norm, the Nitwit Engineer, Part 3. That'll be live on the Quantum Eraser channel. So be here or be Sphere on the Quantum Eraser channel tomorrow if you're watching this live. That's Thursday, the 10th of November, 6 p.m. US Central.
So back to what John was saying and what they show in the celestial navigation books and what they show on the Earth curve calculator image that you had up. The eye line horizontal level is associated with the equatorial plane when they draw the dingleberry. But in the Earth curve math image, it doesn't show that. It shows the dotted surface line. One and the same. No need for the bun on top or the bun on the bottom. Just the burger.
Yeah, they're putting you where it's linked, isn't it? They're putting you at the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth on a plane with you looking through, 3,000 miles of rock, right? To look through it at the celestial sphere that's represented in the celestial sphere model without a globe in it. You don't need the globe. In fact, it makes things very, very difficult.
Well, this is why they bring in the Haversine formula, as John has put, a transformative equation, so that the arc that the protractor makes of that angle can be reified as where the navigator is with his boat.
Yeah, but if the orders were not to move Santiago, then why was he moved?
Your orders are always followed, and Santiago wasn't to be touched. Then why would it be necessary to transfer Santiago off the base?
You want answers?
I want the truth!
You can't handle the truth.
Good one, Chocolate. I like it.
Did you order the code red? So, gonna get lost in this few good men flashback if we're not careful. Right, so the point is, if Earth is a spherical surface, then why is it necessary to apply a transformative equation to the surface you're measuring? It would already be spherical if it was spherical. Why transform it into a sphere if it's a sphere? Why transfer Santiago off the base if you've ordered everyone not to touch him? It's that simple. It's a contradiction. It doesn't make any sense.
I think they use that formula as well when surveying large areas. They measure straight lines and angles and then use a formula to turn it into a spherical sphere. I mean, they do it in every single way possible because they have to keep the globe dream fairy tale alive.
Well, it's rather easy to do. John turned his kitchen floor into a sphere.
Hold on, Eli's trying to get a word in from Discord. Go on, Eli.
Yes. What necessitates the use of the formula?
Cup your
Like,
mic.
is
Cup
it
your mic.
necessary?
Cup your mic with your hand.
Is it necessary? The formula.
Yes, your audio's terrible. It's
No, I got
necessary
his
to cup
question.
your mic.
I got his question. He's saying, is it necessary to have that formula? No, it wouldn't be if the Earth was actually a sphere.
But it is necessary if you want to turn your flat kitchen floor into a sphere.
Exactly.
Or it may be necessary to turn a apparent dome into a usable, in reality. So maybe what it's applying to isn't what they think they're applying it to.
They're applying it to a flat.
That's what I'm getting at. Because if it is necessary, then it's useful for something. Not that the Earth is a sphere. I mean, because if it is used, saying, well, you need it to I mean, if we need it in celestial navigation, then
No,
we need the formula.
no, it's not needed.
It's
They
not
need-
even mentioned.
Oh, okay. I was asking. That's what I was. Okay, cool.
No,
I thought it was needed.
No. You think the Haversine formula is required?
No. A right angle is required, a 90 is required, and an angle is required. And then they get the co-altitude by subtracting the elevation angle from 90. And that distance of the co-altitude times 60 nautical mile gives them the distance from GP of the sun or star to the observer. But that works on a flat plane.
I'm going to say
so they
every
need to
bit
make
that's
it
just
work.
described that's actually done prior to saying, oh, yeah, we can transform this angle we've just measured off a flat plane and this circle we've just drawn on a flat plane into a sphere. No, that's definitely not required.
Well, after you take the angles, you can actually transform it into anything, as one of the ballers was so happy to argue for, that it could be any shape after you get the angles from the flat plane.
Yeah,
Right.
but don't you have to do it to dupe the masses?
Well, you need a flat plane to do it is the point, Neil. The starting point, the requirement, the prerequisite to make an assertion that you're on a sphere is that you measure a flat plane. And then you utilize the measurements from a flat plane to give you your assertion of a sphere. For example, on screen now, you've got Al-Biruni's dip angle measurement to the horizon, formerly known as Earth curve, debunked by the Black Swan, a geometric limitation marked at C. You've also got H. What's H? It's the height of the mountain. How did we get H? How did Al-Biruni get H? Well, he needed an angle. He needed two. He needed the difference between them, and they were both taken from a flat plane. Now, it's not depicted here, but what Al-Biruni did was derive the height by moving back or moving forward, I forget which, and taking two triangles and getting the difference between them, using trig to get the height. Something we were all taught in high school. Do we all remember this? Right angle triangles? That's what he's using. He's got two of them if he gets closer. Well, that measurement of an angle requires a flat plane. So his starting point is acquire H from a flat plane. Once you've got your flat plane measurement of H, go up the mountain and ignore the fact you've just measured a flat plane to get the height and assume that the horizon is a physical geometric limitation to your view, dipping away from you at height, elevation. Therefore, using a second triangle with a line that's been relinquished by our anti-flat Earth opponents, who tell us we'll never expect to see the geometric horizon. Nobody's expecting to see the geometric horizon. The geometric horizon only exists in maths. Meanwhile, Al-Biruni's got a nice, perfectly straight line for his trig to do triangles to get his R value, hasn't he? A straight line that, well, atmosphere? No atmo day. Point is...
That's the same.
Point is,
Sneaky
his
bastard.
first step was flat Earth. He had to get H. That's the height. He needed a flat Earth to do it. It couldn't be done any other way.
Well, that's also what Eratosthenes did. Was he had the well in Siam and the obelisk in Constantinople or whatever, 500 miles away, and he used the angle to the sun to claim the Earth was a sphere.
Nathan, I got a picture in Master D for you that.
Okay.
So you can see here, you've got 3 images: equator, latitude, North Pole, and it's showing Earth as a disk. The globe is a surplus to requirement, as you've put it. And the angles are coming not from the celestial sphere that's surrounding this disk, but the plane we live on.
So you're telling me they're criticizing us with a flat Earth model that they use? Wow.
Hold up, model.
That's correct.
Do we
Because
live
the
in
flat
a
Earth.
model?
No, it's a flat Earth they're using.
So let me
Why
get
does
this
everybody
straight. The
use
globe
models?
is flat, and it was measured like that.
Because one deck says it like that.
We move on.
But no, I'd like one deck to read that poem because it's pertinent to the point.
Yeah, well, after I researched it, I came to the conclusion that the globe must be flat because it was measured like that. And I found out with my research that the globe is flat because the Greeks all knew that.
Wow.
Those Greeks knew everything, huh?
Can you elaborate?
Well, they measured it with sticks and shadows. I mean, the Earth must be flat for horizontal shadows. Al-Biruni, he knew the globe was flat. He measured the height of a mountain like that. And when I was a sailor navigating the sea, the surface of the ocean appeared very flat to me. Navigation on the surface of our Earth, all achievable without one little use of a curve.
Thank you very much. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Which gravity? You talking Newtonian? You talking Einsteinian? Or are we talking flat Earth gravity?
Mathematical construct of imagination with absolutely no experimental validation.
The gravity 107 years ago was the claim that mass attracts mass. Mass doesn't attract mass. You can debunk that by showing gas behavior. Now, further to that, you've got Einsteinian, which, strictly speaking, I think was debunked within the last 50 years by quantum mechanics, but technically speaking is still current rhetoric for heliocentrism. There's no incorporation of quantum mechanics behind the bullshittery of pseudoscientists just using that vernacular. But that aside, the current rhetoric of gravity is the bending of a conceptual medium, fourth dimensional in nature.
Are you talking
it's
about
not
Bell's
real.
inequality?
Hold on, it's not real then. It's all fake.
It's a pseudo geometry of a fourth dimension we don't exist in. So on one hand, it's not fake, it's just maths. Maths is just descriptions, and this is a description of a dimension that isn't our dimension.
Hold on. It's a description of a fake place, Nathan. Come on.
It's a description of a dimension that doesn't exist and isn't our reality. We don't live in a fourth dimensional space-time reality. Time's just a concept.
Well, as far as conceptual mediums go, is there a counter space then?
The same
In
principle
reality?
applies. No, we're not living in a counter space dimension either.
How have they proved this then?
Now you're making, hold on, you're making enemies on both sides now, Nathan.
What? Sorry, it isn't about making enemies. It's about whether or not we've got a fourth dimensional space-time, or what was the other one?
A counter
Flat Earth
space?
gravity.
A counter space. Counter space. No, we haven't got that either.
I could take you to a channel right now that they're claiming that incoherent dielectric acceleration handles everything, and then after that, its relative density takes care of everything else. That is the reason why things go down, Nathan. What is
Like
wrong with
balloons
you?
and clouds and gas. Gas doesn't go down. I said already, right? This notion of mass attracting mass and then substituted with an incoherent dielectric acceleration was appreciated as nonsense 107 years ago when it was superseded by Einstein, who took gravity as a word only and made it something completely different to the notion of mass attracting mass. Mass doesn't attract mass. So this idea of a downward bias, a gravitational attraction, because of the mass of Earth attracting the mass of other objects like you, and that being the explanation for why you're stuck to a ball that's spinning around in a sky vacuum, doesn't need or has no necessity to be replaced by an incoherent dielectric accelerated force that holds things down. Things aren't all going down. Some things go up.
So that's the reason why when one gentleman had the idea about clouds that nobody backed him, maybe?
Neil, you're
Yesterday?
in talking. Contextualize what you're saying, because
Okay, yesterday when you were going through that, somebody did say, what about clouds? And nobody backed them up or pushed it. Like, yeah, what about clouds? Or what about gas particles?
okay, so for a heliocentrist, I can't speak on behalf of those who purvey incoherent dielectric acceleration in this regard, but for a heliocentrist, they have to assert that everything's going down. Because you've got a gravitational force, a force that gives you a measurement at 9.8 meters per second, down towards the centre of Earth. Shout out to Thea Megaworty, says, I have photographic proof we live in counter space. No, you don't. Thank you for the super chat, though.
Just so Adam can get in here, if Adam's got a chance, there was an interesting point that the baller brought up yesterday about the incoherent dielectric acceleration and their claim of lightning causing things to float. Adam might be better at articulating it than me, though, if he's here. If he's not, I'll give it a go.
Go ahead. I think he's around.
Well, the claim was made that lightning is changing the polarity of objects, causing them to float, right? It's changing the direction of down within that lightning strike. And all the heliocentrist had to do was point out that during a lightning storm, the polarity changes for a longer period than just the lightning strike. It flips through almost the entire storm. So if their assertion was true, everything would be flying up as soon as you started hearing thunder.
That's correct.
Wait, that's the new shit now? That lightning is causing a reverse polarity that makes things float?
No,
Don't
really?
need
they got
reverse
their ass
polarity
handed
in
to them.
lightning.
That's what happened.
Yeah, some things go up. Some things go down. Some things remain neutral. This is specific to the medium that they're in. Further to that, items of a particular type can behave differently in a different medium. Some objects will fall through air and float on water. Some items will fall through air and fall through water. Some items will float up through water and fall down through air. Some things will remain neutral in air. Some things will remain neutral in water. In other words, if you want to describe a phenomena, if you're so inclined because you want to be the arbiter of your audience's viewpoints, then understand what the phenomena actually is. When they describe gravity, a downward vector, a bias, whatever they're going to call it, anti-flat earthers, globe believers, and Etherians alike, they're describing a bias down that we don't actually experience. So what do we experience? Well, I've just described it. Anthony summarized it specifically as his phenomena when he did his egg experiment. That is to say, what are we trying to study the cause of? What's the effect? some things go down, some things go up, some things remain neutral. Yeah, that is an effect you can observe in nature. In air, in water, in whatever medium. It is medium specific. It's relative to the density. Now, this got labelled as a result of literally years of debate and discussion between Arwin and Anthony Riley. Fantastic job they did. Them were the days when this was productive discussion and debate between internal members of this team. And where we arrived at the end was with scientific validity to what we state and what I've just summarised. Not thanks to me, but thanks to Arwin and Anthony and Quantum Eraser, who helped formulate the scientific prediction known as a hypothesis to go forth and validate the cause of the effect we observe in nature. That is, some things go up, some things go down, some things remain neutral. That is an effect that has been validated by way of systematic experimentation that I have done. But Anthony was the first, to my knowledge, to put it into an actual hypothesis, vary a presumed cause of the effect, and cause the effect, validating his alternative hypothesis. That's science that he did. Now, some people mock Anthony because he stuck on a white coat and hammed it up. Good for you, Anthony. Because that's what it needed. Mock the white coat. Because that's what some numpties take as scientific validity. Well, here's my white coat. I've said it. I've got it reported. It's in the news. It's got a headline attached to it. The science they were talking about's fake. No. Does it have a viable independent and dependent variable that you can actually vary to cause the effect you're studying? That's your dependent variable. And if you're studying it, better be damn well happening in nature for you to ponder why it's happening. Because if it isn't happening in nature for you to ponder why it's happening, there's a good chance a man's generated that effect. But if you're exclusively dealing with effects we observe in nature, like things remaining neutral and other things going up and some things going down, you can assume, suppose, a cause of that effect, and then vary it to see if it causes it. See if you can induce the effect by varying a supposed cause of it. And if you do, you validate the empirical, logical framework that's offered around the scientific method. You have validated your suppositional cause and effect relationship, known as an alternative hypothesis. Stated simply as, if A, then B. If my presumed cause, then the effect I will study, or am studying. Backed up by a null. That is to say that at the end of this process, you're going to get a positive result either way, because the null is if A, my supposed cause of this effect I'm studying, then not the effect I'm studying. So if you vary something you suppose causes the effect you're looking at in nature, and it doesn't cause the effect, you put a tick next to the null. Because that statement is then proven true. If A, not B. Now, obviously, you're not trying to directly test that. You're not trying to prove the null. You're not trying to prove what doesn't cause things. You're trying to prove what does, like Anthony did with the egg. Sorry, go on, whoever that was.
Well, I was going to ask, does any of the claimed sciences of astrophysics, astrology, astronomy, whatever, do they have any hypotheses they can test?
No, none whatsoever. I'd also like to add that even during, like, a mean storm, the thing that's being manipulated there is the medium, right? The storm itself, like, is affecting the air that we live in, so it might affect at least some readings when we're measuring things for whatever reason during these storms. So even then, it would be the medium that is being affected by something.
The Omega Word, he says, I posted proof in Discord. Maybe he's serious. Says Cope. Winky face. You're going to have to tell us about it. If you say you've got photographic proof we live in counter space, Theo, then feel free. It's a nature of the earth direct claim. I'm more than interested. As for, well, some things never change. I have no idea how to get what you've got from Discord. what I see is what you see on screen, which is a list of people in the voice chat. So even if you do get in, I'll still not be able to find it. I'll have to ask one of my panel members to dig it out and post it in Skype. But I'm more than happy to hear your claims of photos of things from counter space. If you say you've got proof of it, I'm definitely going to... Go on.
Scientific evidence of a place that runs counter to the space we experience. I just want to let that sink in.
Thank you for the super chat, though. Really appreciate the support, Theo. Really appreciate it. But on the topic that we've just literally been covering, is there any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Viable? Nah. Because if it was viable, then they could then perform an experiment to validate it, right? I don't think they've done that. Unless you want to count them sending a spacecraft to hitting an asteroid in the vacuum of space, then yeah, maybe. But if not,
what's
then
sad
not
is
sure.
if an anti-flat Earth is... Sorry, Chuck.
No, I'm done. I'm just talking shit.
Yeah, if a globe earther was here, they would say, wait a minute, what's that funky little word that you put on the end of that? You added that yourself. Verifiable. Like, give me a citation with not verifiable. What is it? What'd you say? A valid hypothesis, basically.
Viable.
Yeah, viable.
Viable. And they would literally turn this place into a dookie show, saying that that's not what Google tells them. The word viable isn't in there. We're just making that up. They're just playing semantics.
Hello,
So that's because they don't know what a hypothesis is. If you know what a hypothesis is, then you know that a hypothesis is, as is always outlined in this show, you see an effect happen in nature, you assume its cause, and then in your hypothesis, there's the assumption of what causes the effect that you saw in nature, and then you're going to move on to experiment using the independent variable that you supposed in your hypothesis to cause the effect. So if you're not doing that, then whatever you're doing isn't valid. It isn't a valid hypothesis if it isn't set up this way.
Yeah, therefore it isn't science. And the claim is we've got scientific evidence for counter space, ether, more importantly, gravity. But unfortunately, there is no scientific evidence for gravity, but that's where I'm going to round out this show. So if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. So another massive thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, joined as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, and all that good stuff. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on a premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
Yeah, the only thing circular about the only thing circular about the Earth is their logic about the Earth. You know, that's
Right, the Earth is not circular, but their argument is.
yeah, that might be what's confusing them.
So format fallacy then.
Oh, glad we got back on G+. Everyone happy in there? And Discord, for that matter. What's his face join? Tell us all about his proofs that he's stuck in by the super chat.
The Omega Wardy, was he the one that posted that?
Everyone's been moved over to the after show, but yeah, maybe he's in there. The Omega Wardy, you in there?
It's AI.
AI Overlord, you there? No.
By
If
the
that
way,
was
Nathan,
AI,
can I ask,
if that,
did I see that you're using Discord again?
Yes, that's correct.
Why? What happened with Gilded?
Just kept breaking, kept on giving me technical issues.
Really? Still?
Well,
Damn.
consistently, yeah. Just
Nathan, I got a
Okay.
I got a image in Master D I'd like to comment on from the panel.
Okay. Nature abhors a vacuum.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about gas pressure. After all, every good scientist knows that nature abhors a vacuum. How do we achieve a vacuum on our plane of existence?
A big ass container.
Yeah.
Remove.
When you say every scientist knows, well, how would a scientist
Remove all the
know
pressure.
something?
This is a meme in Master D chocolate. If you look
Yeah,
at
let's
it,
not
you'll
take
have
it
a
too
laugh.
seriously.
I mean, we got vacuum. That's not the vacuum I'm talking about, but it's a play on the word.
Yeah, I was just going by what you said.
No, it's
You
the meme.
But it is true, though. Dogs typically do hate vacuum cleaners, and so do cats.
Thanks, Arwen. Do we have natural occurring vacuum on Earth where gas pressure at the same time coexists?
I just saw the meme. It's funny.
No, it's a good question, because if nature abhors a vacuum, and we're governed by natural law that the Creator made for our plane of existence, and we experience gas pressure in this existence, and you can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum. I mean, I wouldn't call that circular reasoning. I would say, wow, that point proves that point, and that proves that point, and obviously we have gas pressure, so we ain't got no dang vacuum.
Maybe it's more like globular reasoning.
Globular reasoning? Where'd you get globular from? I said nature.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said circular reasoning again. And just like if you take circular reasoning and then add another dimension to it, so more circular reasoning, then you get globular reasoning.
Well, if a vacuum is the absence of air pressure, and air pressure is the absence of a vacuum, how can they two exist together, is my point.
Well, they could, but
I'd like to hear it. How could they?
a gradient can exist, but it still requires a container in order to achieve a gradient.
What kind of gradient are you talking about?
Well, that's the
A
vacuum
higher and
part.
lower pressure in a gas gradient.
Okay, all right. So, so you're talking about gas pressure, and then the delta of gas pressure.
Yeah.
So you need gas pressure to begin with.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you get gas pressure without a container?
I wouldn't know how to verify or falsify that, because we have to be in a container because there is gas pressure. So how could I ever test that?
Easy. Natural law.
Easy?
Yeah, natural law will always be on your side when you test things.
I don't know if you're claiming it. Stop. This is so
Yeah, but you
frustrating.
can't
No,
actually
hold on.
test it.
Stop,
That's the problem.
Stop. If you're claiming it, Arwen, yeah, it's not reasonable for you to tell him as a response when he asks you to prove it that you wouldn't know how to begin to test it. and then explaining the parameters that limit you from testing it. It's your claim. So, yeah, I mean, I get that that's true, and I do see ballers doing this as a technique as well, which is assert the devastating rebuttal from the flat earther as a response as the globe earther. You know, it's kind of like the Jedi mind trick where they say, well, of course we need a flat plane. Let's just, you know, you guys just need to get past that. It's like, what, you think by stating to me about the flat plane we require that that's going to serve as a rebuttal? In this case, you're like, well, I've got no way of testing that. No, you've got no way of achieving gas pressure without containment. But that doesn't make what you've just said a response. And Tenth bought it. He was completely Jedi mind tricked by it.
I wasn't being Baldwin. Didn't I already said? Yeah, of course you can. Like when Tenth said straightforward asks, so how do you have gas pressure without a container? I said, yeah, you can't.
Okay.
So I was basically just being...
just giving a normal response pedantic. For a change. Just an honest response. Okay,
yeah, I was
fine.
just being pedantic, that's all.
Yeah,
like, fine. No, I take it all back. I'm totally sorry. That's made me much more relaxed. Thank you.
All right. No problem. It's understandable, you know. Baldwin does typically pop up in these moments, so yeah.
Not normally the civil with Tenth.
John.
The trick with it is how you define vacuum, right? And if you just define it as a differential pressure, then we experience a differential pressure as we go up in altitude. The problem is where does the gas stop filling space? You know what I mean? Like, they got an arbitrary line they call the Kármán line that they calculate atmospheric. I'm doing the thing with my fingers where I say atmospheric pressure because air doesn't form a sphere. But they have that arbitrary line they claim is where, you know, the gas just changes its mind about its direction and goes back down.
Not all of it though. Only some of it. Some of it stays here while some of it actually escapes, according to them. Hilarious.
That's not the real use of the Kármán line.
There can be a gradient, but it can't be like in an asymmetrical distribution. You can't have a very small part with a lot of gas pressure and then a very big volume part. Absolutely nothing.
There it is. That's what the Kármán line's really used for. So the point of the Kármán line is to establish a differential using the R value between surface level and what they arbitrarily ascribe and call the Kármán level, because what that gives them is a volume for them to calculate gas pressure with. So that's what they arbitrarily ascribe, and it's useful because it means they've then got a calculable volume for the gas pressure up to the Kármán line.
Negative.
So it's
basically
hold
on.
virtual
Stop.
container then.
Go on, QE. You're saying wrong.
Negative. No. Have a volume, you must have a container.
No, I didn't say it was right.
Come on, you
no,
just
that's right.
It's
I should drop that in. Let's just take that on the chin. Yeah, that's absolutely correct, QE. It's impossible to utilize the differential between an arbitrary ascribed line in the sky that doesn't form containment and the ground level and call it a volume, because a volume is the amount of space within a container. So, no, it definitely isn't. You're absolutely right, and I should have made that absolutely clear and didn't. So, thank you, QE. Thanks for having my back in that regard. But that's what it is used for, though. That's where they get this arbitrary line between surface level to give you a calculable pressure that's impossible to calculate because it doesn't have containment.
Right, so it's just a virtual container barrier that isn't there, but they have to conjure it mathematically or they can't calculate the gas pressure.
Correct. They haven't got a volume unless they've got the Kármán line. They haven't got a volume with the Kármán line is John's point, and he's right. QE's point.
And I was having a wonderful discussion with Arwen, which was for the first time not Baldwin.
Well, not only that, it was completely civil, and I just misread it. I thought he was being quite nasty. He wasn't. He was being honest.
I totally get it. I do trick around sometimes, but in this case, I wasn't.
Yeah, and I just wanted to keep going with it, but then all this happened, which was okay because we learned a lot as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing that Nathan was corrected and he didn't double and triple down and quadruple down and stick to his guns. That's what I thought you did, Nathan.
Well,
You're
I
lucky
was-
you saved him
Nathan
because I
doesn't
was
take
gonna
correction.
ask him. I was gonna ask him, can you have a volume without a container? And you cut me off. So you saved him.
Well, hold on. No, Nathan, we're all agreeing here, and it's almost a militant level of agreement. And Nathan doesn't take correction well. That's the story I heard.
If that was the case, how would it be a flat earther in the first place? Because that's essentially a correction from your heliocentric worldview to a completely different paradigm. Now, the people who don't take correction well are the people who become anti-flat earthers.
Yeah.
Did you happen to glance at that Scientific American podcast transcript I posted up?
The one that we went through in the pre-show?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Huey ever saw it.
No, I didn't.
You might have a look at it. We're going to do segments each morning in the pre-show on that. We got through the first set of paragraphs today, and it was very interesting how.
Scientific American, you say? What's their
Somebody-
independent variable?
No, I mean,
Can somebody
just
let me
you
in?
got to go read it. Okay.
What? Did you send
Everybody
it to
get
me?
it? Yeah, it's in Master D. It's in Master D just after the show link.
Go on,
The
Eli.
new
But
show.
I'll send it. Yeah,
Hold on, just one
don't worry.
second.
I'll just send it to you directly. Don't worry.
All right, appreciate it.
Go on, Eli.
I'm just trying to get into G plus. That's all.
Okay. Why have I got so much praise for yesterday's show? I was fuming. I felt betrayed, felt pissed. I was annoyed about everything.
Because you were outstanding. You were the old Nathan Oakley. It was great to hear that again. And it was a
Damn.
great show. You picked them apart.
Damn, I missed
Yeah.
the good show yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you missed it too, Chocolate?
Wait, there were ballers here
Wait till you
yesterday?
hear it.
No,
Kinda.
no.
Even better.
Better.
Worse.
There was
Worse.
four. There
Yeah,
was
worse.
a lot of this. All right. Somebody else tell them what happened. I give
It
up.
was worse. That's a good one.
Oh,
Okay,
the
just check it out. It'll be
Ethereums.
out tomorrow, Chocolate. So it's on the second channel tomorrow. It's FED 1764. It's the one with Tyson with his waistcoat and the
Yeah,
red
Chocolate.
eclipse. There's the thumbnail.
Chocolate. It'll be out tomorrow for us, but members got it today. And
Yeah, it's Nathan on the warpath, man. Like,
No, him.
just
Was that? Hold on. Was that 1764? Somebody put in my chat yesterday. It was 1763.
Well, they were wrong.
But they were wrong, Huey. They were wrong. Very wrong.
Please don't miss my little hint for Nathan to make all panel members members.
Oh, we just bypassed that. That shit ain't happening.
Okay, well,
Somebody fill Chocolate in what it was about, please.
Just ask Godzilla.
I'd like the response from our host why we're not automatically members and get the videos the same day. we're
Pay the
on the
money.
dadgum show.
Pay the money and you'll be a member.
oh
I'm
yeah,
not getting paid to be on the show. I don't see why I gotta pay to be a member.
Don't argue and give Nathan chance to think about his answer. Answer the question.
Oh, I've forgotten what the question was. But yesterday's show
I'm
gave me a
saying-
headache, so I listened back. I did listen back to it.
I'll remind you. Just let me remind you. So your panel members take time out of their schedule, contribute towards your computer, other things. We just don't have this little other thing on a monthly basis to become the members that get the video early. So since we're on the show and other people hear us before we do, why aren't we getting it at the same time as the members? Why
You
aren't we automatic
can.
members?
Now, you can, because if you regularly watch, you're a panel member and you can't. But if you did happen to regularly watch the live show, often people give out free memberships. Just like...
Okay, why don't you give out free memberships to your panel members?
I don't want to take the fun away from the members that do that. That would be very mean of me.
He can't
Hold
start,
on a second.
He can't
Hold
start a tradition of starting to pay us. I mean, that would be the end of it.
Why, you
It's
didn't get
not
paid?
paying
Absurd.
us. It's a barter. It's a barter.
Yes,
My
it is.
time.
He can't give us free memberships. That would mean that he would have to pay for them.
It's not paying us anything. We're bartering our time for the
Yeah,
membership.
but with
There's no
who?
money
He
exchange.
doesn't have it to
No.
give.
This is where I need one of those sound effects where you play like the clip. It was right at that moment he knew he was fucked.
hold on a minute. No, we do this for many different reasons, but I didn't think we did this for money.
I do. I do.
Well, you
I
do,
want to
Nathan,
know.
but
want
I
to
don't.
know. Hello, everyone. I want to know how come I don't have a flat Earth debates jacket sent to me by Nathan. That's what I want to know.
Now that is a good question. Why does Brian not have a flat Earth debate jacket? I can ignore the memberships, but what about the jacket?
So yesterday's show gave me a headache, and I'm just intrigued to know why me getting annoyed with an old friend would be good. I don't get it. Like I say, I listened to it back, and typically the reason I listened to it back was because I was told it was a good show, and then I went to find a clip. So typically, when I listen back to a show, I can go, there's about 10 minutes worth of video. I'll chunk that out. Now I listened to it, and I couldn't find a piece to chunk out of it. I've got to be honest. So I'm just a bit perplexed. I normally know when it's a good show because I'll be keen to listen back. But this wasn't the case in this instance, so
Yeah,
I'm a bit perplexed.
Nathan, maybe it wasn't a good show. It was just satisfying.
It's
you
the
know,
whole
because
thing.
it's been on our hearts for a while. Sorry, John.
It's the whole thing. It's the whole thing. That's why you can't take one part out of it unless you combine parts. Now, for me, when I reached self-actualization was the ironic part at the beginning of the show when you were singing the praises of David Weiss, and to basically he's sacrosanct. There's no touching of David Weiss, but by the middle of the show, you're calling him a piece of shit. So I like that dichotomy. I like that little play. I like how things change based on cause. So I like the whole, like I said, it was the treatment done by you on pretending on flat earthers.
Yeah, the natural development of it. I agree. And yeah, okay, you might have been going a little angry, but it was justified. I mean, for somebody else, like going in a debate against anti-flat earthers and then to basically denounce you like that, that's low. And I agree that you have grievances over it and that you shared those grievances, Nathan. Even though it might not be all that productive for the friend circle or whatever, it was real and it was good.
Well, John, not Kiwi, but the other John, wrote me a message after the fact going, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to drop that on you. I could tell you got very upset about it. And I thought about it, and I'm like, you know how off the cuff you go, yeah, I wasn't upset. Like I said at the end of the show, I was like, I'm very fickle, I'll forget about this. No, I didn't think about it. I thought about it all night. So it did upset me. And I was right. And reading that was comforting, John, by the way. So it's like, well, I appreciate your sentiment, but it's not your fault, by quite the contrary.
Hold on.
Nathan.
Did David Weiss say something about me?
Yeah.
It wasn't.
He said he didn't watch the show, and he proved that by lacking good arguments in the entire thing.
It wasn't just David Weiss. It was Witsit. It was Jaron. It was some other bearded numpty.
Yeah, I know about all of them, but the one that's actually surprised me is David Weiss. That's interesting.
Why should that surprise you?
Yeah, at the end of it,
I don't know.
Nathan.
Maybe it shouldn't, but it kind of does.
Because you were Jedi mind tricked by the indoctrination Nathan's been giving you for the past 3 or 4 years.
I'm completely lost now. What did you say, Chocolate? I didn't catch your reply. Say it again, Chocolate.
No, what I was asking, obviously I wasn't here. I didn't know what happened. I didn't hear anything. So from what I'm gathering from what you guys are saying, David Weiss actually said something about you. So I wanted to confirm that that's what the case was.
Yeah, yes and no. It had been identified to me by Russian vids in a quote, and then from memory, someone actually sent me it timestamped, and I did go and listen to it previously, and even you guys quizzed me about it, Neil especially, and I batted it off. I was like, nah, contextually, someone else in the show will have said, "Oh, we hate Nathan." In other words, if Jaron had said that 2 minutes before, or 5 minutes before, 10 minutes before, whatever, then you're like, he's just having to go along with the host of the show, and therefore he's being conciliatory, in an awkward moment. That's how I just justified it in my mind. Now, when he said it in context, it came completely out of the blue because I hadn't actually watched the previous 10 minutes of it. So we're leading up to it, debunking this, debunking that, pulling apart the arguments that they're failing to pull apart, and then suddenly he drops it in then. And I was just taken aback by it, because then I have heard it in context, and there's nothing surrounding it to say, oh, no, Dave's just having to go along with Jaren, who literally said a couple of minutes earlier that I'm a cunt or something. So therefore that's him brushing it off so they can move on quickly without slagging me off. In other words, I picture Dave being the good guy he is, and, the only reason he's done it that way is because he doesn't want to continue a conversation that's going to be detrimental to me. On the contrary, further to that, there's context given when someone else who's an anti-flat earther, MC2, and gets brought up. Do they quickly shut it down and say that they're not watching him? No, by contrast, his stuff's on screen and discussed. It's just me that's been shut down by Dave, in context, for no other reason than we don't watch Nathan. Now, in a bigger context, everyone around him's telling the world I'm a scammer. So how does that look, in context? It very much changed my opinion on how Dave had done that. So there you go. So yes, it was
Nathan,
technically new to me because I'd seen it in context for the first time.
Nathan, if I may, without interruption, and then have the panel comment on what I'm about to say. If I'm in a group,
Well,
and
let me go
someone's,
first.
no, good one. If
If
I'm in a group and someone says something about a friend of mine, I'm not going to go along with it. I'm going to stand up and say, here, I got his phone number. Let's call him, see if that's what he actually said, because you're talking behind his back. That's what a friend does. Second point, as I recall, the surprise that Chocolate had in his voice would be the same one I would have. Wasn't David Weiss the one who risked 3 Bitcoins to Nathan Oakley and anti-flat earthers? Not to Jaron, not to Bob, not to anybody over there. He could have gone to his gang and said, hey, in fact, why didn't those people say to David Weiss, how come you didn't bring the 3 Bitcoin challenge to us? We're your homies. Why did you take it over there? That tells me a lot. He's two-timing. That's terrible.
Well, he went over to Nathan because over at Globebusters, they suck so bad that they would have probably lost his 3 Bitcoin to a baller because they're so incompetent.
My point is,
exactly
if I was
my point.
My point is if I was in that same meeting with those gentlemen, I would say, David, I'm going to put you on the spot. Here you got Jaron, Bob, and the rest of the crew. Why'd you take your 3 Bitcoin and risk it with Nathan that you're throwing under the bus now? Please, I'm waiting.
Well,
Crickets.
on one hand,
Crickets.
everything. On one hand, everything that's being said is totally legitimate. Not even on one hand. Everything that's being said is totally legitimate. The only thing that I would like to say is perhaps because we often respond emotionally, especially when we're in company that we either like or share common ground, like you might get that weird behavior. I guess it's called being two-faced. Whatever. Let's call it
Exactly.
what it is.
I would never do that.
Hold
You
on,
wouldn't
let
either,
Eli
Eli.
finish. Go ahead, Eli.
So, like if you have a criticism that you're willing to share with your friend, then okay, fine. If you criticize them publicly and in other areas for a particular thing, and that's justified, that won't destroy the friendship because you're not being snaky about it in any way. But in this case, it's like not only did he send people over to Nathan for them to be challenged, for them to challenge for the Bitcoin, but he also put his channel in his app for people to find. So I don't know why he would do all of that, but then in that moment get to the emotional space where he's like, I don't watch them, or we don't watch them. What I'd rather is ask him and say, Dave, why would you say that, man? That was a little unfair. That was really unfair, given the context of the conversation.
No, that wasn't all he said. You didn't see the whole thing, did you?
No.
Yeah. Don't say that yet. Watch the whole thing and then say what you would say.
Yeah,
Because
watch through it
Hold
first
on,
and
hold on.
then.
Don't just brush off what Eli's saying.
sometimes-
Hold on, I want to take on board what Eli said. So, to contextualise it for me personally, Eli, you're saying it's like I hate to phrase it like this, but that's the only way I can contextualize it on the spot. Like when you're in love with somebody and they betray you, you're a lot more hurt by it, and therefore your reaction is tenfold what it might necessarily need to be. And in this instance, Dave's my mate, therefore I feel betrayed, therefore my reaction might be overly excessive. No, I don't know. I think you might be right.
No, he's wrong. Dave is not your mate.
No, stop. I would say that and I'm glad that you connected on that point. Only because, listen, there's the same parallel when a lover betrays you, like he said. Now, what if like, okay, say you're best friends with someone, and you're bitchy. Let's keep it real. You're a dick, okay, to people. I'm not talking about you, but I'm saying that, like, if your girlfriend is a dick, and then you're in company with your boys, and somehow you get recorded saying, yeah, you know, my girl's a bitch and all. Like, and you don't really.
No,
Well,
Eli,
I mean,
David Weiss is a fuckwit and a snake.
Hold on.
There is no
We'll get to you,
made
Brian. We already know your sentiment, but thanks. Go ahead.
You've known my
Eli.
sentiment for years, Nathan.
Okay.
There wasn't no accidental recording.
Is your friend.
He was doing it on a podcast. There wasn't no accidental recording. He did it on a podcast. And you haven't watched the whole thing. Yeah, I'm listening. Yeah, I am.
Yeah, but
you said somehow they were recorded.
He's just giving an example.
No, I'm in my fucking scenario. In my scenario, not in real life.
Okay, look, I'm sure he'll get to the end of his example if we just give him another 60 seconds of airtime. Go ahead, Eli.
Look, I'm just talking about how humans respond weirdly. And yes, sometimes we do this thing where we're two-faced, and guess what? I've said shit about people that, in retrospect, I'm like, damn, I shouldn't have had the conversation with these people, because in context, because they're the enemy, I didn't really have to. Well, the enemy they're the enemy of my loved ones. I didn't really have to say something that I felt, which is, well, she is a bitch. I didn't have to do that, because some people look at that as disloyal, which is why y'all feel how y'all feel. But don't sit here and act like you don't know how humans behave.
Fair enough.
You don't feel that way, Eli?
No, fair enough. No, that's good.
Hold on.
That's good.
There's a difference.
I feel that way. He's a backstabbing piece of crap.
Guys, can we all just stop talking over each other? We need to talk about these feelings a lot more.
Well, it's very
Anybody
different
says
what Eli
anything
said.
to any one of you in front of me, they're getting their ass handed to them. I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead.
No, I stood on your knee a little bit. I'm sorry, but it's like this, right? We already have a real world example. They're patting themselves on the back about being such brilliant debaters, when 4 of them couldn't take out one baller, right? But when it came to Bitcoin time, it was Nathan that David went to, and it's Nathan who he disowned on that podcast, right? Because he didn't need Nathan at that time. So how come they weren't defending Dave's Bitcoin? Because they knew Nathan was the defense for his Bitcoin. Dave is not Nathan's friend. Neil Cosentino is Nathan's friend. And Nathan has to learn that. I'm sorry, Nathan. You give a leeway to people that don't deserve it. He's not on your side. He doesn't constantly promote you. He doesn't say good things about you all the time like you say about him. He doesn't take your advice. He goes along with rubbish from Bob. What more do you want?
Yeah, he does. He literally put Nathan on his
because
platform.
Nathan was defending his Bitcoin.
Stop responding in the middle of my responses.
Well, I was
waited for you to
talking
finish.
and you decided to come into the middle of it.
You literally stopped talking.
Okay, both of you. Okay.
Correct me.
Stop. Go ahead, Eli.
Can you tell him that he stopped talking and this is me rebutting his point and he doesn't like it? It's not me.
He was in the middle of talking.
Okay.
Holy shit, just go on with it.
Just stop. You said
he wasn't in the middle of talking.
You said he's put my videos on his app. Yes, he has. That's correct. That's a promotion of me. That's correct. That's a net positive for me that he didn't have to do. He has done, and it has promoted me. And I'd like to thank him.
Of that,
thank you for doing that, David.
I have an
On
objection.
on top of, there is no objection, because every time y'all say
There is.
objection, it's a complete non sequitur to what I
I'm
said.
gonna.
Everything
Well, you
that
don't
this-
know what I was going to
I'm not
say.
done.
You
I'm
don't.
not done.
Thanks
I'm
for
not,
reading the
because
Please,
I'm trying to-
Eli,
because I'm trying to finish.
Eli, please calm down, please.
I didn't finish though. I keep getting interrupted. That's what I don't like. Because of everybody else's feelings, I
Join the
can't get
club.
to my actual point. So anyway, secondly, if you're gonna apply that logic across the board, then Arwen is not a friend. And obviously that's not fair, is it?
No, you're absolutely right. Arwen, go
Hold
fuck
on.
yourself. Get out. You've never been our mate.
How
No.
so? What does
Screw
wait,
you
how
then,
has
I'm
Arwen said
leaving.
How has Arwen said
not
anything
really.
about Nathan?
Neil, please let me just say this. This was not an off-the-cuff response. It was, this entire debate was planned shortly after Nathan was called a scammer to show people how to debate ballers, as they state. And on top of that, unsolicited, that statement was made. So it's not the same as you're in a group and you're just happen to be recorded around people that don't like your loved one. There's nothing like that. They planned this discussion
orchestrated.
to show how you're supposed to debate ballers.
And failed miserably.
Yeah,
100%
basically.
right, John.
That's
What
correct.
the
hell?
And
Yeah.
guess what?
You got a point.
I would have went to that debate as well. Just so you know.
But you would have
I
stuck
would have
up for
also
Nathan.
accepted that. I would have also accepted to be on the panel, despite what they've said. Right? Like Dave Weiss goes where he wants. We can't look. They invited him to be there to have the debate because he's a kind of a
Nobody's
prolific
saying
figure
anything
in
against
the
that.
sense that he has. In this, I know that's why what I'm saying is always being met with non sequiturs. I know you're not saying anything against it.
Just wanna, stop. Everyone stop. Just 1 second. Just stop. Look, right, in the same way I was pissed yesterday, right? The only adversary of Dave Weiss, and he's probably not even doing it because he wants to necessarily defend Dave Weiss, is Eli at the moment. So just give him a bit of a break. He's being Dave's adversary. Is that the right word?
Yeah,
No,
a
it's not.
sympathizer.
Sympathizer.
His adversary is
Not-
somebody
yeah,
who's
sorry, my bad.
against him, like all of
Sympathizer.
us.
He's fighting Dave's cause. Let him.
Why?
Why not?
Because this is not
Because
the
that's
end
what
of
the
it.
right-
That's
that's what the
why.
right
It
thing to
doesn't
do
mean war. You don't this doesn't have to mean war. It's just something that happened, and there has to be, well, a reaction to it still.
Let me just answer Neil. Let me just answer Neil. a
Hold
second.
on.
Hold on, John. Let me just answer Neil. He asked why. I'll tell you why. Because typically speaking, it's already been answered, by the way, by Eli in the first commendation I gave him for a very cogent response in terms of our emotion level when we're dealing with things like this to people close to
Jane
us.
Fonda S.
I'm just saying, it's worthy of a discussion point. Yeah, it's about our feelings and we joke about that, but by the same token, if the information we're putting out is skewed in any way because of a heightened emotional state, then what Eli's putting down is absolutely valid. And I want to hear it. That's it. That's all. That's the only reason why. Why wouldn't we want to hear it? It's a specific influence on how we deliver information. Now, the overarching point,
Because,
it revolves around our feelings towards people, but we're people, and that sometimes has to be discussed. It's not necessarily lowbrow, because we're dealing with our own emotions. That's, in my opinion, quite mature. Let's deal with how we react to things like this, and hopefully benefit from it at the end. But you've got to hear the contrasting, this is just how people are kind of argument from someone like Eli, to go, yeah, actually, maybe I have overreacted a bit, or whatever.
Objection.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, after
This
John,
is-
I'd like
this
to
is-
go.
Okay, well, this is my point.
And I'm back
I was
to you,
told that what I
John.
said was a non sequitur, and I'm not over emotional about it. Months old for me. I watched the whole thing 2 months ago, so I didn't get emotional.
Me too.
I'm not emotional right now. I was told that I made a non sequitur response to an analogy he gave in description of how people are, and then I explained in response how it was not like the analogy he gave. This was a set up thing. So I don't appreciate just being, hand wave dismissed.
Do you follow
and
that,
non
Eli?
sequitur being.
Do you follow that, Eli?
Well, before 10 goes, can I respond to that? Or
Go ahead.
Jeez.
what was that, Nathan?
Well, I was saying,
Go
yeah,
ahead,
what John's,
Owen.
no, let me just lay it down for him. I'll summarise it. It's no worries. John's saying, contextually, this isn't he accidentally slagged me off a little bit. And people do that from time to time. No, it's on a show that's in place to upstage our debating ability on a specific show about debating flat Earth. That show is there to say, look, over there on Flat Earth Debate are scammers. This is how you do debates. Let's compile a team of good debaters, including Dave Weiss, who will throw me under the bus in the process. So the context is very different to your example. Now, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing. I'm just summarising it on John's behalf. Go ahead, Eli.
Okay, that's fair. My example wasn't exactly parallel. I was just explaining how like for instance, okay? Now I know you guys are having conversations where you're taking the piss out of Witsit and Dave Weiss. I don't know the other two guys, but I actually like Jared. I
Well
know that.
deserved.
But guess what? If I was having dinner with them like yesterday, no, the day before yesterday, and then came on the show yesterday, and then inserted the points that I did insert yesterday, they would call me a backstabber, which I wouldn't be. I'd just be saying my piece. Yes, I did go into that territory knowing damn well what the context was at that time, but I'd still do it. If you're saying that's wrong, okay, you need to say that's wrong, but you can't divine my thoughts and say, well, okay, there was this whole setup, and because I knew that they were setting it up, like there's nothing inherently wrong with Dave thinking, you know what, maybe I will be a better debater. Maybe we can. Maybe it is something to people not going to FED because maybe there isn't as many ballers as there were there before. My friend Witsit is telling me that there are no ballers on there. I don't typically see any anti-flat earthers on there anymore. I haven't watched the show as of late, so this is all I'm going off of. But when Witsit and my friends tell me, oh, we want you to come debate so we can debate this astronomer or whoever the fuck he was and show people that we can have a civil discussion. Like there's nothing.
Well,
there's nothing nefarious. There's nothing nefarious about that.
Right, that wouldn't be. It wouldn't be.
The claim, him saying what he was saying about we don't watch Nathan is very weird. Instead of trash talking him for 2 days, I would have went directly to my friend and went, I understand you went and chilled with your friends and all that you know I just had a fight with and everything, and it resulted in us, you know, we literally have like what is that thing where you have a law where you can't go within a certain amount of feet.
Restraining order.
Restraining order. Like I know that's the case, and okay, it's like fine, you can do what you want, be friends with whoever you want. But why did you say you don't watch me? Why is it not better to approach it that way rather than trash talking for 2 days?
Well, hold on, because this needs to be addressed as well. Nathan had a professional relationship on top of that where he was protecting money for this gentleman. But
That's
you
correct.
haven't watched the entire video to get the context, especially what was said at the end. So I think your opinions on what was said and what was said later. Hold on a second, baby. Your opinions on what was said and what was said later will change when you watch the entire thing and get the context.
That's correct.
Well, I'm a forgiving person. I've forgiven enemies for much worse. So maybe you're right, and maybe I'll still choose to forgive. But that's my prerogative. I'm not arguing against what we literally have on digital. Like, don't confuse what I'm saying with me doing that. I'm not. I know what happened. No, I didn't watch the whole video, but based on what you're saying, I'm gonna take that on face. I'm gonna take that on face and say, yeah, okay, he probably said some hurtful things to someone.
Hold on, but that's what Nathan.
And had a
My
business
gosh. But that's what Nathan did the first time. He took it that way until he heard the whole thing.
You could have waited until I was done to act so where people would actually.
Faster. Fuck.
I don't have to do shit faster.
Yeah, you
The
do.
fuck?
You fucking go on and
No,
on
I
and on
don't.
about nothing.
Okay, both of
No,
you,
I
chill
wasn't
out.
going on and on.
Ah,
No,
take
I
it
wasn't
easy.
going
Come
on.
on, please.
No, I wasn't going on and on.
Nearly there.
Jesus, we have to listen to your fucking garbled horse shit for on and on and on and
No
on and on.
need. I was
Go
listening
have
to him.
breakfast
Hello.
then.
I was listening to him.
Guys,
I was
come
listening
on.
to him. Go ahead, Eli.
No, you know what? The rest of minus Nathan, the rest of y'all can have y'all hate party if y'all want.
Oh gosh,
Just so
come
you know,
on.
It's not a hate.
Just-
Come on,
just
don't
so you know,
polarize like that,
just so-
Elijah. Come on,
just-
stop it.
But just what I did just then is exactly what these people use to cause the division that we keep saying we don't want. This is unnecessary.
What the hell are you
We
talking
do want.
I have no idea what Eli's talking about. I
Is it
never
my
do.
turn yet? Is it my turn yet?
Hopefully it'll be concise.
Well,
Go ahead,
I-
Ted.
no.
Bloody
he-
hell,
he
Q. You
was
know how to
going on.
antagonise everyone.
It was
I
going.
would have been done 10 minutes ago if y'all didn't keep interrupting me.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have been, Eli.
Just let me know when the
Brian,
air
we
is
were
fu-
so close. Go ahead, Tenth. Go ahead.
All right. Eli, I got to hand it to you. You're a peacemaker like me. But in this case, I got to hold something against what you did today. Number one, you're bringing in all kinds of human behavior studies into this and saying it could be this, it could be that. How do you know? You should have called them, blah, blah, blah. Nothing wrong with that. That wasn't the case, though, because you and I haven't seen the full video. These guys were on for hours yesterday. So I'm going to hold my final thing till then. But what I do know about the subject matter I want to talk about, David Weiss has an app. He's looking for content for his app. That's why he features Nathan Oakley, for personal business gain of having content on his app. You might say, well, he's also his friend. Great. That will be tested real soon, won't it? All right, David Weiss has Bitcoins. He needs a defender of the Bitcoins. He goes to, one said, Nathan Oakley, individual in the UK, to defend his money. That's a pretty good sign of trust and possibly even friendship. David Weiss, point 3, okay, on show, doesn't back his Bitcoin defender, doesn't back the free content that he uses from the same said defender, because the opposite is true. You always back a friend. Brian
Well
got
said.
it right. Shush, please. Brian got it right. He was never his friend. He's using Nathan. He was not. You always back a friend. There's not one time in my life where I've let somebody talk dirt about a friend. I get my phone. I say, I'm calling him now, so you can tell him to his face. That's what friends do. That is what friends
Can I add
do.
one thing?
Yeah, but by that standard, you got to realize that Jaren is also a much older friend. I mean, to David. So that's going to then create polarized confliction.
Arwen, I
Right?
appreciate that. No, listen, I appreciate that. That is part of the dynamics that could be explored, but I don't care to explore it. I have friends who don't like each other. I try to get them to see, hey, that's wrong. You should not do that. Okay, sometimes you can't win in those situations. But I don't put up with garbage when I'm with the one or the other about them talking about the others. I don't want to hear about it. You guys haven't settled that. That's between you and God. I think both of you need to settle this.
Right, that's another
But
part
I
of the.
don't let
Let me just add to that.
anything-
That's another part of the contextualized issue. So, as far as I was concerned, I'm like, no, keep Dave out of this. You know, he'll remain neutral. I don't want to drop him into an awkward position because he's got two friends that are at loggerheads with one another. That was my attitude, right? And I've maintained that up until I heard the contextualized discussion where Dave Weiss actually airs his opinion in regards to me, which is none of us watch him. All right. That sounds and looks incredibly bad when you're surrounded by people who are telling me that that I'm a scammer, telling their audience that I'm a scammer, and producing a show that essentially replaces mine. There you go. Here's what we can do for debating on Flat Earth. Yeah, fucking awful job, by the way. Dave, Hibbler, Jaren, and Whitsitt. You want to hear my honest opinion about how well you did in debate, given that that was supposed to be what? Fucking replacement for what I do here? Yeah, you're a joke. You're an absolute embarrassment. You didn't take apart a single claim that the globe Earth proponent put down in front of you. Not one. What you did do, you self-righteous, fart-smelling idiots, is present your opinions about what you could contrast his claims with. Not debunk his claims, offer up your own shite that you like sniffing your own farts with. That's what you did. I had a disgusting display of people like Jaren, Whitsit and Dave peddling their crap about what they say the sun does, what they say the horizon is, how high it is, how it moves. And I was deeply offended by that. Now, Dave and I have got a relationship that goes back. It doesn't alter what I heard. And the rose-tinted glasses I've had on until now, until I realised Dave isn't my friend. He's not fucking interested in protecting me, supporting me, doing anything for me. He'll take my content, put it on his app, because it serves his purposes, as just pointed out by 10th Man. Now, although I wasn't going to mention it, I did mention it before we recorded, but I've asked Dave to remove my content from his video and never contact me again, because he's not interested in anything that doesn't serve his own ends. Clearly. Because when it came to doing the thing that a mate might do in those circumstances, he didn't do it. What he did was remain complicit with the people around him calling me a scammer and replacing my show with what, a better version? No, it wasn't better. It was a disgusting display of you peddling your faith in your crap that you peddle to your audience. You think you know what the sun does you, Dave, because you've got a P900 and you can point it at it. You fucking pathetic twat. You disgust me. How dare you tell your audience what the sun's doing because you can film it with a camera? You self-righteous prick. How big-headed have you become because you've picked up an audience? You think you can tell them what the sun does? No, it's a disgusting outrage, Dave, and I'm here to tell you, firsthand. You don't know what the sun is. So stop telling people what you think it does, because you filmed it with your camera. It's sad. You're not going to replace the heliocentric worldview with a camera view of the sun and a vague explanation of what you think it does. Further to that, when you tell people there's a downward bias being negated by electricity and present some ionic field that generates a differential in pressure to create lift, and you didn't know that's how it worked, you look thick as shit, David Weiss. You had your ass handed to you on a plate by a man who knew significantly more about everything you've ever done in your career with solar panels. And in this case, ionic transfer, creating pressure differentials, the Bernoulli effect, lift. You didn't know that that's how it worked. You didn't know that you'd need greater air pressure for it to function at high altitudes, Dave. Yeah, that's why you had your ass handed to you by a globe believer. You're not fit to debate anybody, Dave. You don't know these arguments. You just pretend to have alternatives to their arguments, not debunking them, offering your guru view on what the sun does. No, my friend, I'm here to correct you now. Now that you've not backed me up in any way, shape or form to the men calling me scammer. No, you just don't watch, right? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you watch me defend your Bitcoin. I can prove it, you lying shit. But now you've become my enemy, haven't you? So what I will do is use you like I used Jaren, Dave, to show other people in my audience what a shit job you do at defending flat Earth. All right, so incoherent dielectric acceleration proved by this man-made gizmo with ionic transfer between the thick and the thin wire? I think not, Dave. Fucking embarrassing. Stop offering up your stupid, shitty worldview on how the world works, Dave, because it offends me deeply. And when you do it, I'll be here pointing out how stupid you are, how you don't have any proof for what you claim. You've just got a P900 and a mouth. That's all you've got. What you haven't got is a capability to destroy globe claims. I've got that, Dave. You know it. That's why you're asking me to undo arguments that you struggle with on all the debates you go around the circuit on. Yeah, know this, audience. Dave didn't have any arguments. He needs to come to me to get answers to difficult questions, while he simultaneously tells his audience he doesn't watch me. He's just a shit debater. Ask you to your face if you come and contact me again, Dave, even though I told you to leave me the fuck alone. like Jaren, dead to me. If you do come knocking, I'll ask you this. Why the fuck couldn't you figure out these arguments that you came to me with? Are you thick? Just shit stupid, right, Dave? Is that what you needed me to answer the arguments you couldn't overcome? Couldn't figure out for your own stupid self, right, Dave? No worries, I'll just show the world how fucking dumb you are. How do I overcome this argument? And then play the clip of you parroting off what I told you. I'll show you how you're just my parrot when it comes to overcoming any decent argument that you hadn't got a clue how to overcome. Yeah? Show you the text of me telling you how to overcome the argument, and then you giving me no fucking credit? Parroting off my words to an audience for your own self-benefit? What a cunt! Yeah, I'll just embarrass the shit out of your thick self, Dave. That's what I'll do. You don't watch? Really? Really? So none of those Bitcoin shows that you told me you watched? You watched? No, you did, Dave. Yeah, did. Just throwing me under the bus. Right? Why? Well, because you're a wanker. You're living up to your own stereotype, mate. My wife knew it the whole time and warned me every step of the way. Because she's a good person, she wasn't smug about this. But she saw it coming a mile away. She knows your type. Your stereotype, the one you live up to. Yeah, we all know what I'm talking about, Dave. Yeah? So good for you. Well done for proving your own stereotype true.
I am so sorry, Nathan.
I love it.
I was going to say
Excellent.
sorry
Well
as
said.
well because regardless of how you might feel, Dave, if you're listening to this is what you did to your friend. Everything that he said is legitimate. The debate that went on, I agree with what was said about the critique of the debate. Off of the back of that's supposed to be that was supposed to be a debate that shows people how to debate. Like it's juxtaposed to us being bad debaters or bad actors or whatever the case is. So
Scammers.
this is your friend is upset the same way any other friend would be upset. Now, Nathan, the only thing that I would say, even though you're legitimate in how you feel, I'm not saying anything against that. If it was me, and I had a YouTube channel, and I know that there's a different dynamic between the friend that I grew up with and us YouTube buddies. So there's obviously, differences in our moral standards. I would have used this as an opportunity to invite him on the show.
Oh, I'm going to do just that. Oh, so great minds think alike. No, what I can do is I can utilize material. Whoever that is in Discord, please can you pop yourself on mute? There's plenty of material out there of Dave Weiss taking on ballers and debating with them. Oh, we've got an endless stream of material to critique. So I'll invite Dave on my show, him and the baller that he debates. And every time he fails on his ass to do a decent job of debating, we'll be here pointing it out. The scammers, the ones that Dave supported in the claims of scamming, tacit acceptance. You're complicit, Dave, with all the people calling me a scammer. No worries. I'll just point out what a shit job you are. Go through some of your videos with your debates with people on the circuit. And it'll be embarrassing for you, Dave, because we're just going to highlight how shit you are at debating. What's that? You got your lads around you, the ones that call me a scammer, doing a great job. No, yesterday we pointed out to a very, very careful and concise degree just how shit you guys are. And I assure you, you are shit at debating, Dave. So I won't have to look very far, because I've turned enough of your shows off, yeah, so I don't have to critique them. Yeah, the moment I get to an embarrassing part that you haven't done very well with, I normally turn your shows off, Dave. I don't lie about watching them. I just get to a point where I know you've done very badly and go, I better not watch anymore. Oh, I'll just change that. No worries. We'll just highlight for an audience just how appalling Dave is at debating. We've already done it once. I'm sure there's plenty more examples. Further to that, there'll be ballers discussing stuff with Dave, won't there? And we can pull apart their claims where Dave failed to. And point out just how much Dave failed to pull apart the claims that were put to him when he went on his little self-promotion tour of failure. So yeah, he'll be on the show. No worries.
Whoa. Let me say one thing. I don't treat my friends that I grew up with any different. I consider everybody here that I debate with my friend, and I will go to war for any one of them, even before people I grew up with. I don't even know the people I grew up with anymore, but I know the people here.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Neil.
well, Neil, thanks, but we don't necessarily need to go to war like this.
We do,
We just
Alvin.
need to
We
no,
do.
no,
That's the
no.
thing,
We
we
just need to
do.
establish
We're
what
already,
happened
we're
Just let Alvin
already
finish his
and deal with it.
sentence.
And
Come
Nathan
on.
is
Go on, Alvin.
this ridiculous war talk is bullshit.
We got at
Just
least
need to
3
deal with
minutes.
it,
Nathan,
and Nathan is
Nathan.
dealing with it. Stop this nonsense.
Right, this is
Warren.
me.
We got at
Alvin's
least-
right. This is me dealing with it in a very public way. And I'm more than happy to do that. Sometimes you have to wear your heart on your sleeve if you're a producer of YouTube content. Now, that is something I'll accept, and I'm doing. Alvin is correct. But go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, I like you, Nathan. We're both around since 2015.
I like you too, Brian.
You, yeah.
I don't like either.
We're both around since 2015. Now, you were a few months before me, I think. But the point is that we're not new to this. We've been around. Now, outside of you, the other people that are around within our group that have been around a good few years, maybe Adam as well. But the only people that David Weiss and Jaron ever actually acknowledged were people whose channels had grown. And the only reason they ever really acknowledged your channel, Nathan, is because they wanted to complain about YouTube and what happened with your channel. And that they used that as a way of complaining, making it seem like they were on your side at the time when your channel got suspended or whatever happened with it. I remember there was a big thing there that happened. One of the ballers caused it or something. But they used that situation to complain about YouTube. They were never on your side. They never cared about you. They gave you the impression they did. I've been around heading for 8 years next year, and I have no way to contact any of those people. Jaron, for when he was on Skype, yeah, I sent him a message one time, and he replied one back to me in Skype, just in a Master B or whatever. That was it. For 7 years, there's many people like me who those people have had nothing to do with. Eli might talk about peace and other things like that, but Eli, I mean, how many people here can just call David Weiss? How many people can contact him and contact Jaron?
I don't see the point. I don't see your point, Brian. It sounds like you just
the point I'm making,
these people.
is they're a complete not a farce. They're not real people.
Yeah,
they're a farce.
I don't know. I don't agree with any of this. Just because you haven't got contact with David Weiss or even Mark Sargent.
I haven't gotten finished. So.
Oh, okay, go on.
Look, I don't care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Because I've said it, Nathan, I don't see why we're trying to pull apart what he did or whatever. He did what he did because he is not your friend. He's not our friend. He's not anyone's friend. He's friends with Jaron. Jaron's friends with him. You're friends with Bob. They're a credit cons. End of story. We don't need to go any further than that. There's no need for feelings about maybe he meant this or maybe that. Under this type of circumstance, no. If he was your friend, he wouldn't have done what he did. It's that simple.
Well, I would like to say something about this because it wasn't what I did. I posted that video for QE. Nathan, I didn't want you to watch it, and I certainly didn't want you to watch it that part publicly. I wouldn't have never guessed that it would just happen, that the part you clicked on would be that close to when he said that. That's why I avoided giving you a timestamp. I mean, the odds, I really do feel bad that happened to you publicly.
I don't feel bad.
I just want you to know I didn't do that on purpose.
I know, I don't think you did for 1 second. It's just pure chance, but it doesn't make any difference. What difference does it make? To be perfectly ruthless, I'd already heard it. I'd had it quoted to me by Russian vids. Admittedly, shit-stirring. Now, if it hadn't come from Russian vids, I might have rationalised it very differently, right? And I'm not putting Russian vids down, right? But he hates Dave Weiss. Now, I won't, in the same way as I don't hate Jaron. You know, yes, I've got a lot of bravado and a lot of pomp when it comes to this stuff, because it's being recorded. Maybe that is persona-driven, but I'm pretty sure most people in the audience will recognise why I am genuinely fuming, as it is the case in this instance. But either way, I don't hate Jaron and I don't hate Dave. But RV does, right? I'm not going to beat around the bush when it comes to that. So when he put quote marks around what Dave said, instantly I recontextualized it. Sorry, RV. That's just how it is, mate, when it comes to you and Dave. Not with those things, just you and Dave. Anyway, that's how I set off on contextualizing that quote. And then when I can't remember if I did or didn't get sent a clip of it, but I do vaguely remember hearing it spoken. And again, I recontextualized it and even argued with Neil about it. Right? I was like, no, it wasn't how you said. And I even went and looked at it. Well, I was just wrong. Right? So that comes as a bigger shock, which buys into Eli's point, right? Suddenly you'll react on an emotional level to these things when it isn't necessarily as worthy of such a big reaction. However, the reaction wasn't necessarily a reaction directed to Dave in the most part. It was directed to the arguments he was having with the baller, and my annoyance, if you want to call it that, was taken out on his arguments, or his lack thereof, and also Jaron, Whitsitt and Hibbler. So it's like, well, you know, the fact that my annoyance was directed at what I've been told after the fact was actually very good flat earth content, then so be it. That's why I'm like, let's turn these lemons into lemonade. If you want to invite Dave on the show, I can just go through his crappy arguments on other debates that he's had out on the circuit. But by the same token, am I just overreacting? Is it really necessary to twist this knife in Dave? He's not that bad a guy after all. Yes, he's thrown me under the bus. But yeah, people betray you. What, is this something new I've not learned through my life? No. So I'm not really that shocked. No.
Well, see, the thing is, when I have a friend and I have bad news to give them, I take them to the side and I say it in private. You know, I never wanted this to happen on your show. I was,
well, you know,
and I want to apologize for that.
Fair enough.
give him a hug, or you might repeat yourself a third time. I don't know.
Says you, Eli. Bloody hell. Mr. Emotional on this show has been you.
Yeah, true enough. I think that, look, what Nathan did is justified. The conversation around it is a waste of time. When I go into these forums, they want me to be distracted by how they feel about FED. In the middle of us talking about the difference between science and pseudoscience, guess what I won't be doing?
Feelings.
Discussing your feelings.
Exactly. So when I'm in a room with Whitsitt and we're getting into a debate, I'm just gonna debate on the merits. I'm just gonna go off of what's being said, what I know, and that's it. When someone tries to interject with that's just an FED talking point, this, that, and the third. No. I'm not going to be addressing that. I'm going to ignore that and justify my claim or reassert my rebuttal to the claim being made, because that's what's most important. We don't need the distraction of, Dave is not nice. He tied my shoes under the table and then I got up and tripped. Oh my God. Like, that's unnecessary.
Yeah,
like,
there ain't nobody disagreeing with you, right?
Fine.
You're right. Whatever. There ain't nobody disagreeing with this, and you're absolutely right. It makes me smile, Eli, because you're right. It's normally me saying this, though, isn't it? But I like the pep talk.
Can I ask a question concerning something that Eli said? He said, if he's in a debate with Whitsitt or somebody else against ballers, okay, I got that. And who is it that said that's just the FED talking point in that context? Who was it that uttered that?
I don't even care. It could be a flat earther who doesn't like Nathan, which oftentimes it is. It could be a baller trying to play us against each other. When I'm in that arena, I have to be laser focused. I don't care if Whitsitt himself said it.
Got it. But I do care, and here's why. When someone says that's an FED talking point, you say, yeah, they understand how valid the argument is. Now, let's see if you do. Now, you can do it that way, or you could just ignore it. But all of your arguments and all of my arguments have been refined here. And where's here? FED. So FED talking points are either going to be wrong or proven right. So if someone in a discussion like the way you're saying says, well, that's just an FED talking point, you're one of the panel members, I say, yeah, I know, they refined it real well. Now, what's your answer to it?
No, it's a third party. I'm not going to be like how Neil, Brian, me, everybody else is a third party here. That's what I mean. Typically, it's that. It's like, no, I won't be responding to the third party. No, I won't.
Okay, I may have
You're
missed.
representing yourself as your own man and not necessarily as FED.
Eli,
Fine.
Oh, gosh.
I've been in that position. We've all been in that position where we're talking to someone or debating someone, and someone wants to bring up Nathan or QE. Yeah, but we don't disown the people. I'd say go and talk to Nathan about that. Or I'd say, are you talking to me or are you talking to Nathan? Are you talking to me or are you talking to QE? I'll bring it back to me and what we're doing. Right? You don't go, I don't listen or I don't watch Nathan Oakley and tell an absolute right after him defending me and my finances. So no.
I agree, but we moved on.
You're not bringing up anything. Your scenario is not like something new we don't know.
No, it's not a scenario. It's not a scenario, Brian. I'm telling you what I do. And I'm not talking about what Dave Weiss did. It was unnecessary to bring it up. You brought it up, but on the back of my point, I don't understand. Why? Because when I'm saying there's a third party or saying like some shite, I'm not saying that because I'm trying to draw a parallel to what happened. What I'm saying is, generally, when we're supposed to be laser focused on the argument, it's very easy to get emotional and kind of address the person to the side, which makes someone else jump in and then a third person jump in when it's like, no, actually, no, you guys are interrupting me. What I wanted to respond to was the initial question about 30 seconds ago. That's what I do. I don't care who said what on the side.
I guess everything I said went over your head, Eli. When someone says,
I'm addressing Brian. What are you talking
I know,
about?
and I'm addressing your answer to Brian as more clarity to what I said and realize you didn't get what I said, so I'm going to double down on what I said.
What you said.
Just let him. Eli,
when I'm willing to say
Eli,
it.
Don't argue with the qualifiers. Just let him say it. Go ahead, Tenth.
All right. So Eli wants to be laser focused and stay within the argument. Okay, here it is. Role play. That's an FED argument. You're dang right it is. We refined it and it's staring you right at your face. Overcome it.
Wait, are you role playing yourself?
That's a good one.
Or was I supposed to?
I am not done.
It's a good response.
You said role play. You said role play.
Yeah, but you might not play along in the way he wants.
Gosh, this guy,
that's why he's doing it on his own.
Nitpicking.
You're totally nitpicking. Thank you, Arwen.
I'm not. You said role play.
Just chill out.
I'm role playing with myself, not you.
Okay.
Loud noises.
It's so frustrating when you're debating. FED arguments are refined. At what time would you not want to use them? And when someone brings it in, you say, well, thank you for understanding how great the arguments are. Please overcome it. I wouldn't say I would avoid it. It's part of my arsenal. It is a weapon of destruction against the heliocentric model. So I am never going to be on a public forum and someone says, oh, are you 10th man, one of the panel members on the FED channel with that Nathan Oakley? And I go, yeah, man, and we're kicking the globe down the hill like it's never happened. What's your point? Well, you guys have canned FED arguments. I know, well refined. So let me ask you, how can you have gas pressure without container? I will double down and bring out the FED argument. Because the audience is, if you don't.
I agree, Sam.
Well, let me finish. Let me finish.
Go ahead.
Because if you don't do it the way I just said, here's what someone in the audience can think. Oh, he backed away from the FED argument.
Good point.
He backed away from defending the show he's on.
Okay, the scenario, I'm not backing away, I already introduced the FED point to a baller that either some flat earther or a glober on the side is going to say, that's just an FED point. I'm not about to get into a shouting match with them. I'm not going to do anything with them. I already proposed my point. If the person that I'm talking to wants to latch on to what they've said, I'm going to go, no, here's the justification for what I've said. Do you have a response?
Fine.
So in essence, I'm doing exactly what you're saying.
Yes, you
that
are.
I should be doing.
Yeah,
I'm not doing
yes,
what
you are.
you
I'll just
thought I was
summarize it
doing.
because it's a good point. What you're saying is, when you get color commentary from the sidelines, regardless of whether or not that color commentary is on topic for a point that Newton's arguing, or whether it's a segue onto the personal attack of flat Earth debate being a matter for just talking points or whatever, you're saying that if you're laser focused on the argument, that non sequitur from the sidelines is irrelevant. You're not going to start defending those points and asking them to clarify how good they are and whether or not they can overcome them. You just focus on the point. If it happens to be that point, you probably do the same because it's a third party coming in. You're laser focused on the person you're having the discussion with and where you've led them in debate at that point. So it doesn't matter how they react to flat Earth debate. It's just some colour commentary from the sidelines, third party, as Eli puts it.
Yeah, I'm not even against that. But if that does happen, number one, the debate is not between two people anymore. So why wasn't that person mic off? But if for whatever reason, as we know, more than two people are speaking, it gets crazy, right? So I would just say, listen, I'm talking to him about this. I'll come back at you with the FED argument after I'm done. It's very simple.
Yeah,
the
Eli.
audience needs to know.
I'd be kind of an ass. I'd be like, well, yeah, and is the point wrong?
No, but
they know,
Eli doesn't want to take.
Listen, I embody FED. They don't have to tell me. They used to say that. Now I am FED in the sense that I just embody the methodology, and I point out when people are not using the same methodology, or they're trying to hijack and rejigger the methodology and call it theirs when it's actually not.
I understand.
Like when Kosho was like, no, you're wrong about the hypothesis. I said, well, in the scientific method, the hypothesis is follows. What you just outlined is a different epistemology, but you're calling it the same as mine. That's not right.
Right. What you're saying is you don't have to be an ambassador for the Flat Earth Debate show or even the Flat Earth Debate mentality to embody the methodology that we employ on Flat Earth Debate and utilize that to win arguments. You don't have to mention Flat Earth Debate. You are Flat Earth Debate when you're winning with these arguments. And you don't have to mention it by name.
That's why that's why they say it, right? That's why they say that's because they know where I'm coming from. That's why they've said it. But no, it's not an FED thing. It's just that FED knows the argument. That's why they say what they say. And I'm not emotional about them pointing it out.
Right.
There you go. When that happens again,
they're trying to poison the well.
A rebuttal, they'd hit you with the rebuttal instead of, oh, but that's Flat Earth Debate.
Well, there you go, Eli. You can just do that now that you've clarified it better. You can say, well, thank you for recognizing that FED knows the debates and how to overcome these fallacies. Thank you for that, third party. But now I go back to the person I'm talking to.
I don't know about that.
Because,
you're missing Eli's point. Sorry,
Tenth.
I don't want to correct you because it's majoring on the minors a little bit. But Eli's point is right. When I say to the audience, this argument that we're giving you, that we're explaining, that we're dissecting, that we're utilising, that you're hearing take apart a globe, whatever the scenario, if you take that argument forth onto a debating platform, unfortunately for you, or fortunately, depending on how you want to view it, you must take ownership of the argument. It becomes your argument. And that's what Eli's saying. He's like, I embody Flat Earth when I'm Flat Earth Debate, when I put these arguments forth. And in many ways...
Who's arguing that?
I know, but I'm just saying that his point is that you have to take ownership of the argument. And then all distractions and hyperbole that are added in, regardless of the origins, are merely there to perhaps poison the well. It's just, I can disregard this argument because that's just a Flat Earth debating point.
I don't understand. I agree with everything you just said, but the point is my response would be, great, I'm glad you know how well refined it is, so let me carry on.
And back to the point.
But see that, look,
exactly. Now back to
it's a very fluid tactic. I mean,
the reason that I'll ignore it, because but Witsit does that too. But
yes,
listen, does. He always repositions, and it's like the thing is, even in that split moment, a baller, a flat earther, someone who's like really just like in there just to like to be a. We don't even know who the ones that are actually in there to purposely disrupt the conversation. We know what we're talking about, dielectric or whoever it is. Like they're also in there in the mix. There's the baller, there's the flat earther, and then there's all of those that are actually not genuine. But there's the dumbasses, the people who know what they're talking about, and then there's and the disruptors. What I'm saying is, if I don't ignore, the only time I blow up is to stop other people from interjecting at any point. Why? Because it only takes 1 second for me to not talk to the person I'm talking to say to the other person, yeah, that's what FED is about, blah, blah, blah. Somebody's going to say, well, fuck FED. And then look, I don't need any of that.
Isn't
what
it great?
I need to do is have the argument.
Isn't it great that just a mention of FED can do that?
Yep.
Yes, man. Yes.
Yeah. So
yes,
why not?
But remember, the point is
Oh gosh.
No, why not? Why not? Because if I do that, either party that I just mentioned, 1, 2, or 3, will take that split moment to get their way in to the conversation and distract from the. It happens every day. I know what I'm talking about.
I'm through talking. You're not getting what I'm saying. I'm getting what you're saying. I'm saying there's another way to dealing with it, and you're dealing with it only this one way. That's all. That's fine.
Gentlemen, do I put forth
That's what you're doing. I wouldn't do exactly always that way. I say there's also another way, and you're not giving credit.
Sorry,
to that.
10th and Eli. Who says? Go ahead.
If I may, just put forth another way of thinking about this, and I'll try to be as concise and quick about it as possible. But this is not a religious point I'm going to make, but I'm going to use the Bible, okay, just for a second. This has happened before. There's nothing new under the sun. So in the New Testament, the truth was brought into the world, right? There was an old religious system. The truth was brought forth, and then after that, the truth was being spread. That's kind of the same as going from heliocentrism to knowing that the earth is a plane, right? It's the truth. We know it. And so that kind of exploded. And this movement, whatever you want to call it, this community, whatever, was united because we're like, oh man, wow, there's a whole other world that we have no knowledge of because we've been living in darkness, right? The idea of heliocentrism. So it took off, but as soon as it took off, there was all of a sudden people trying to put forth this idea of the gospel, doing it for gain and doing it for their own popularity. Well, that's exactly what's going on here. Like I'm with QE. I'm not going to try and divine anybody's intent or whatever, but FED is the community, is the people that are part of this, people that listen to this show or watch this show and learn these arguments. It takes discipline. It's not even necessarily that sexy, but it definitely is powerful because it is the truth. We destroy the lofty arguments that they have because we just beat them to death with the truth. The other side now, these, we'll call the people that are doing this for their own gain or for, just because it's sexy and you get to wear your hat backwards and talk about Bitcoin and open-toed sandals like Huey says, like that they're kind of giving the game away over there because it's more about philosophy and NASA photos and things that are subjective. And they're kind of inviting people into the old religion again, if that makes sense. They're trying to keep people away from the truth. So the best thing that we can do is continue to use the weapon that we have, which is just the truth itself, which is all we need. Yes, it takes discipline. Yes, you're probably not going to be that popular, but it doesn't matter because you destroy every argument that opposes the truth. That's all I got to say.
No, touche. Encore, rather.
Who was
encore.
that? That was well said.
Yep, I agree 100%.
Who is that?
Right. Yeah. In other words, back to business.
So I think you're
keep banging the same drum, disseminating the truth. There's no point going into personal attacks about how other people in the arena may or may not try and disseminate their self-beneficiary behavior. Just go ahead, do the truth. That's it. That's very powerful. We've gone through the process of having to discipline ourselves to be able to do it. Now we just need to discipline ourselves some further extent so that we can hopefully purvey that in a more concise way to an audience, rather than bitching about how people have treated us and how I should have been shouted out and promoted rather than cast other shadows by Dave Weiss. Who gives a shit? Earth's not a
You
sphere.
want
We can prove it.
Nathan? You want the silver lining in this that I see?
It's not the point, Nathan.
Okay, hang on, Neil. We're past all that. So here's the silver lining. One deck comes on and says, hey, here's an article that says 7 things that prove we're on the globe. We go through it, and I say, hey, that's a pretty good thing that he did. Let me get an article, and maybe we could do an article a day if time allows, or at least have them stacked up back to back. So if there's any dead time, we'll just go to these. And that's what we did in the pre-show, and we'll continue on that one from Scientific American tomorrow as well until we finish. Today, the silver lining is we have a whole new format for our show when time allows it. And that's to take video clips of flat earthers debating globers and critiquing them and showing how to do a better job using debating points that kill the globe instead of playing around with it. This is probably going to be the best segment of all 3 of those.
Why do you always
Yeah,
find the silver lining, Kent?
Neil,
I do think
I'm
that's
not
necessary.
Neil, I'm not past that. I'm not past it. Ted might have said to you, we're past that. I'm not past it. I'm not past someone.
Neither am I.
Yeah. I'm
Well,
never going to be
Brian,
past
what do you think I
disloyalty.
meant by past? What do you think I meant by past it, Brian?
I just want to let the audience know. I'm not attacking you, Kent. I just want to let the audience know.
I know,
I am
I
not
know.
past it, and nor will I be.
No, I know
Ever.
that. I
Yes.
know. But what do you think I
Never
hang
will
on.
I be.
Fine. What do you think I meant by past it?
I know what you meant. You're just saying we're getting past that conversation point. We're moving on. Yeah, I just wanted to make the point that I am not past the thing that people might think I'm past, because I'm not.
Okay,
Oh,
I'm
cool.
not past it, and that's
They want us. They want us to be
Holy
stuck,
crap.
Brian. That's what they want. Like we've been stuck for 5 damn years at the ending flat earthers. That's
Can I describe?
It's Irish
Hold on a
vengeance.
second. There's
Do not
this
underestimate
harmony
the
that we
Irish
dreaming for,
vengeance.
Eli.
My goodness, can I define what I meant by past it? Yeah.
No.
Since it was the point Brian brought up. In the way Brian is talking, I'm 100% with him. Until there's Let me finish. Let me finish.
No,
Until
don't.
there's No, let me
You
finish,
have to
please.
be able to straw man it. Don't. Let it go.
No, I just want to say this. It's very important. I'm in agreement with Brian until there's a confession from David Weiss to Nathan, because I believe in confession, and I believe he could easily be won back if he realizes what he's doing. If he's a real individual now. Now, if that confession of what he did to his friend never comes, then I'm with Brian. I'm never past it until that happens. What I meant to Neil, that we've spent enough time on this, let's use it now for the silver lining of another way. I mean, can you imagine the gold nuggets that will come out when you pull out a disastrous Dave Weiss debate with Professor Dave, and you break down, Professor Dave will hate you for it.
Shit,
Totally hate you for it.
I know where I can go get 3 Bitcoin now that Nathan ain't protecting his money.
There you go. My brother John wants a shot at the 3 Bitcoin.
Yes, the golden ingot.
Don't ever get on the bad side of 10.
This is why this is totally necessary. This has opened up an avenue that's always been there. Because when I came into Flat Earth, I accepted that it wasn't a globe, but then I had to go through all of the other all of the other ideas, right? And I knew that, well, these are nice ideas, but what about the globe, right? So in essence, it opens up a lane for people like me who's coming in, where it's like you can see, genuine. Well, I don't want to call anybody not flat earthers, but flat earthers who have the best argument. It's like, oh, okay, me as a flat earther, I thought this because I saw this on this channel, but here I have FED debate, and now I can see that was a fallacious argument. Wow, I've learned from Nathan Oakley or whoever it is that logical fallacies. Maybe I'll sit with like Professor Spock on that logical fallacy series that they got, which is ironic because that's Star Trek. But you know what I'm saying? Like this actually is a wide open lane, because it's not a kumbaya session. This is not for play. This is not a game. We're all doing this for our future's children. So I also agree with QE's sentiment yesterday. Like we're not holding hands. We're not supposed to be making friends. We're supposed to be tearing down the paradigm that is obviously and objectively a lie. And if people's feelings get hurt, I mean, that's not really more important than us tearing down this paradigm. It really isn't.
The enemy. We have an
I
enemy.
would just like to take.
And the enemy is from racist logic. Flat earthers, globe earthers, be damned.
Yeah, like dude said before, like what we got here is the truth, and we just go with that. We're not looking for popularity. I don't give a shit about being popular. Like I just want truth, man. All that popularity shit, you can keep that. Have your giant audience. That's great. Keep telling your giant audience you don't know anything about boiling water and shit like that. Go ahead, have fun.
Yeah, I got a.
You know what I mean?
Since the other guy brought that up with the Bible, I got a great quote from that, speaking about that very thing. It says, "Are you not still worldly? For since there is jealousy and dissension among you, are you not still worldly? Are you not walking in the way of man? For one of you says, I follow this guy. Another says, I follow that guy. Are you not all just men?" Right? If you've left the world system behind to embrace flat Earth, and now you're obsessed with factionalism and jealousies and who's doing what and who's doing that, have you really progressed at all?
Nope.
Or are you still exactly where you were before? You just now have a different paradigm with the exact same result.
Right, but in finding out the truth, is it important to point out when someone is lying?
Yes, a lot.
I don't know if it is.
You know what the wall
No, but if you don't point it out, then how will people catch on? I mean,
because the
you gotta
truth
be
just
fair, you gotta
stands.
be honest.
Because the truth just stands on its own.
No.
But
The
if the
truth
truth stood on its own, there would be no
Hold
heliocentrism.
on. Eventually, but if people don't get a chance to snap out of it, then they don't get a fair chance. You gotta present it.
What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? It's been 7 years. What the hell are you talking about? It's been 7 years.
I'm talking about the people that haven't really doubled down in this disgusting way of going about, that are still part of Globebusters, like following them or recently catching on.
No excuse. Nope. No excuse.
What?
My question is, here's my question. This is my question. It's my time now. Why do they still have channels? See, I'm far beyond any of what has been going on here for the past hour and a half. Why do they still have channels with flat earthers supporting them? That's my question. Got an answer?
Let me usher a conspiracy theory, okay?
No, please don't.
No, yeah. I think that they are actually
no.
a second level tier flat earth society, and that they are actually getting paid for this. That's what I think.
Evidence of that.
Okay, look, let's go back to the subject of the hand.
They got
the AI
fans, man.
Listen,
Yeah,
the word was true. I'll
Hold
try
on.
again.
Hold
The
on.
word was true.
Sorry, I can't ignore that. There is evidence, did you say, Stagoli?
Yeah, they know the arguments that win, and they choose not to use them. They purposely try to sabotage your channel multiple times. They're controlled op. That's evidence. Not
I don't know if I
scientific.
agree with that.
That could be jealousy. That could be a bunch of other things as well. It doesn't have to be they're getting paid by control up, unless you have actual evidence of a pay stub. But
yeah,
back to the subject
you and
of
I've seen this.
Oh my gosh, I'm in the middle of talking.
Oh my bad.
I'll give some evidence in a
Eli.
minute.
Bloody
I'll give
hell,
evidence in a
Eli.
minute.
I'll win.
Can I go after 10th then? Please?
Yeah, of course.
Can I go after 10th to address? Because he's gonna move past the point. And I just go ahead.
In fact, I am in such a good mood that we don't want to move past the point. I'll let you go before me. Then I'm after you.
Go ahead,
Go.
Eli.
20 minutes
Thank
later.
you so much. In your line of business and in what I should be doing for business, we know that overcoming objections is important. Here's the thing. The flat earther goes and they have a product, but they don't know how to sell it. The product is FED argument. They bring that over to the Glober. The Glober says, no, we don't want any. And then they go, okay, well, forget the cookies then. What about this? Because they don't know how to overcome objections. It's that simple.
Well said. All right.
And they shouldn't be in debate.
I have something to say in a minute. I think QB wants to go.
I just gave up my turn. Thank you. So then, if it's truth in the world of lies, how do you expect nothing to be divided? If truth divides by nature, it's saying it's an absolute. So when you bring an absolute to a situation, whatever the situation, for example, your rent is due on the 1st of each month. It's the 10th and you haven't paid it. The contract you sign says, I will have rent paid on the 1st of each month. If I'm 5 days late, it's $100 charge extra. If I'm every day after that, it's an additional $50. And then, of course, if you don't pay, you're going to get evicted. Now, you signed that contract. That's the truth. You agreed to it. It's absolute. That's what the truth does. The truth shows up a lie. And then if someone wants to hold on to a lie while truth is battering them all over the face, then that becomes conflict and division. Friends have parted from each other because of truth. Someone says truth is more important than a false friendship. So they give up the friendship to hold on to the truth. Others keep friendships and lie to each other.
Now, can I give some evidence that suggests that something I said several years ago about these people, that they are Flat Earth Society 2.0. Flat Earth Society pushed general relativity, right? They put out 3 arguments, right, that are good, or thinking points, and a 4th that is absolute nonsense. That's what Flat Earth Society do. Now, this group of people have displayed that exact behavior. They have a downward bias vector going on within their claims. They have this other 4th dimensional medium going on within their claims, and they put out things that somewhat seem good, but then here and there, something that's complete and utter nonsense. That's exactly what Flat Earth Society 2.0 would do. But it doesn't matter if they are Flat Earth Society 2.0 intentionally, whether they are it intentionally or not. They just are. Right? It doesn't matter if they're getting paid to be it. They just are, because that's what Flat Earth Society 2.0 would be if they were going to exist. So it doesn't matter if they're getting paid for it, if there's a government cover-up, or if the CIA are involved or any other nonsense. They are displaying the behavior of a Flat Earth Society 2.0. And it's provable. I have endless audio to prove it. Finished.
With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 scam channel member, and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!